Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a
Well, good morning, TGIF, to what YouTuber says early beans. It's nice to see you guys this morning. Come on in. We got a theory that's starting to make waves, and it's a theory that we've brought up several times in the past. Let's chat.
wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
everybody. We're covering the case of Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by what we perceive as a masked gunman. Or were they more? Were there more? Can I say that a little better? Were there more? Good gracious, I don't know what that was. Oh, Mally Cat, it's so nice to see you. Giving a Bullhorn Buddy membership. Thank you so much. Because I'm a love machine. Ow! Ow! And then we got Supergirl. You have become the newest member of this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Thank you, thank you. And our beautiful Melanie for Arizona BHB. Much love to you and everyone. Thank you, thank you. It's slowly coming together. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want, we need to make a decision for the channel before people pony up for the Arizona trip. If we're not going to be able to get up to the 2,500, then we're basically funding portion of the legal fund or another, I'll leave that up to you, or another adventure. But if we're going to be going to Arizona, we need to pull the trigger sooner than later. So if you guys would like to contribute, more than happy to go out. Like I said, we had a pushy broad. Her name's Miss Robin. She was up in here. She's like, oh, we got to send you out. We got to send you out. And then Pammy Berry got involved in that. And then Rue got involved. And the next thing you know, we've already raised, $250, $260 now. So it's $2,500 to get out there. I said I'd go if we can raise close to that much. I'll pony up the rest, obviously. But that's a lot to do, especially with my upcoming legal expenses and stuff like that. I need to be prepared for those. So don't want to over budget, don't want to under budget. But if we're going to be going out to Arizona and you guys want me to do some investigative work and searching, we're going to need to raise some funds. So that's all there is to it. I'll leave that up to the audience. This is the audience push, not my push, but I'll go do whatever you guys want me to do. So it's nice to see you all. So getting back to this, now we've been going through this, let's face it, this whole robbery gone wrong just doesn't bode with what we're looking at. I mean, we've tried to make it fit. Let's be honest. We've tried to look at it, from a lens where this was just this was a robbery that had gone wrong. But the more we learned about robberies, because let's face it, you and I we're more inclined with abductions and murders and homicides and stuff like that, right? We don't really cover a whole lot of robberies. We don't cover a lot of home invasions. We don't cover a whole lot like that on this channel. We cover, homicides, abductions, foul play, things that defy logic. But we don't, but usually loss of life or somebody missing is like the catalyst to it. It's not like, somebody got robbed, they survived a burglary. If we were to start doing that, we would be consumed, because that's a common crime, believe it or not, all over this country, in every county, every city, every state, from one end to the other, top to the bottom, right? So we have those types of crimes all over the place. I don't know, when it comes to this, the behaviors of these. So we're learning. And one of the situations, Sandra, do you really believe that a guy is saying about, I don't want to address the drama going on YouTube right now. I really don't. I'm going to make one statement and only one statement on this show. First of all, I'm not running anything that does anything with Magnolia, PJ, Dolly, or JLR. Okay, first and foremost, we're not going to do that on here. It's not our problem. Okay, just domestic violence is a real thing. I get that, and this is all I'm going to say. You guys know my contention with JLR. It's been there. I was very public with that at a certain point, and I was fearful for what would happen to the channel, and that's why I kind of came public with some of this stuff. I will tell you that out of all the problems that JLR and I have had in our history, that man has never raised a hand to me. I've never come up here and say he ever raised a hand to me. We've been through ups and downs and a lot for a lot of years, and And you guys know I'm not going to rehatch those things. And I'm not coming to bat to a person that's hurt me. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit around and allow this to get legs and start moving about. At the end of the day, I do have personal experience with Jonathan Lee Riches. I did have arguments and heated discussions with that man. And I can honestly tell you where I sit right now out of all those heated discussions. And I'm a screamer. Okay. When I get mad, I scream. Okay. And sometimes my screels and squeals can sound like frickin', fingernails on a chalkboard. But at the end of the day, that man has never put his hands on me. I'm not going to sit up here and lie about something that has happened. Now, what I will say is the reason why I'm not coming up is because I'm not going to... Why in the hell, and I'm going to tell you guys this, would PJ be trying to get me this information? They thought I was just going to roll with it and do anything to destroy Jonathan. And while I would love nothing more than Jonathan to have some just desserts for some of his behavior, I'm not going to sit here and believe something that I don't believe to be true, okay? I don't know what happened. Did it go too far? I don't know. I wasn't there. And neither were any of you. So I think the court systems need to deal with this. I don't know what's going on. I could tell you that this has upset me very much. I've cried over this situation, and it's not even my situation to cry over, but I don't want to hear about it anymore, and I don't want it on my channel, okay? I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not getting involved in any of it. If you guys want to be involved and you guys want to spread around some stuff, you guys can. But I can tell you that somebody went out of their way to try to get me this paperwork. And I have to think that this is a hit piece more than worried about their own, well-being. Okay. And moreover, I just want to remind everybody, go look at that woman's hashtags or her name. She still has JLR all in her name. I don't want to hear it. Okay. If a man made me so fearful of my safety and threatened to kill me, I still wouldn't be dragging his name around behind mine. I'm just saying. So you guys feel however type of way you will feel. You will not hear me talk about it anymore, but I am getting the messages in my inbox. I am getting the text messages from people out here on these streets. You guys can stop. I'm not getting involved, okay? And that is the only statement that anybody's going to get from me for this. I'm not getting involved. The only thing that comes to top of mind for me, for everybody involved in this, you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes, and you know what? I guess we're all seeing what karma looks like. This is exactly why you do not go fishing in somebody else's pond. I'm not getting involved. Okay? Now, let's get back to work. Okay? Their problems are not our problems. We've got a grandmother that we are trying to find and get home to her family. Okay? Everybody else that's involved in all this drama, if you guys want the drama, this ain't the channel. Okay? Those are all I'm going to say about that. I'm done. I'm tapped out. That is my mic drop. Okay? Done. Like I said, I'm not going to get in there. I'm not going to paint JLR as a fucking saint. I'm not going to do that. Okay? But I'm also not going to paint him as a freaking devil that goes around beating freaking girls up either. Okay? I had my problems with him. I know what my problems were. I know what he's done to me. Okay? But as far as we have had a lot of heated conversations, and I can tell you, I can push somebody I can make people crawl walls. Okay? I'm a professional at it. And if I've never gotten one little push, shove, I think one time he grabbed my arm, and this was years and years ago when I was walking away, and I looked at him and told him to take his hand off me, and he just did this number. So I don't know about you, but I will sit here and tell the truth about everything, but I'm damn sure not going to stay quiet while everybody is saying something that I truly don't believe. So if you want to know where I stand on it, it is you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes, and I guess we're all playing and seeing out what karma really looks like across the board, okay? This is the universe taking care of itself in part for me, okay? Do I think anybody needs to go to jail? I don't know. I wasn't there, and neither were you. So just keep that in mind. It's really easy to beat people up, but where's the evidence? I see a bunch of writing on a piece of paper. It seems to me like there would be a lot of, if you got paper to pass around, why don't you have those photos to pass around with it? That's what I'm saying. Okay? Who wants to see the photos? Like, why were we looking at paper? Why are we looking at paper? And everybody knows I told you guys she had a smushed nose. So I feel like she just got herself a nose job, a free nose job. I'm sorry, but maybe I'm wrong. You guys can hate me later. All right, let's get back to this. This is why I don't want to talk about it. I've said what I said. Let's move on. Please do not talk about it in my chat, okay? Because it'll really upset me. Like I said, I've made peace with all of everything going on, and I just need to move on. Let's get back to Nancy Guthrie. So what do we have? Some people had brought up something that, well, what did I tell her? I said she's going to do this. She's going to end up she's going to find out that she's going to ruin her freaking reputation. Like that was the only thing I cared about salvaging through my breakup is my reputation. Okay. That was it. Okay. I wasn't worried about the man coming over here and giving me a couple black eyes or giving me a nose job. Okay. I'm just saying. Okay. We're done with the conversation. I need to stop. Once I get on a roll and it's in my cranium, it's hard to stop. So we're going to move on. So I need my audience to help me move on. You guys heard what I said. If you guys need to go rewind it, clip it, do whatever you need to do, I've said what I said, and we're moving on. That's all I really care to say about this situation. Now, before we get started, I do want to bring up, as you guys know, I'm kind of partial to a PI named Jason Jensen, like the guy. I really do. I like the guy. I had an opportunity to meet him and get to know him during Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner's case, which we would have never covered if it wasn't for Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. So anyways, we've befriended each other over the years. He's a nice guy. I definitely call him a real PI. Okay. He's not an internet PI by any stretch of the imagination. He truly has been a private investigator for a really long time. He has his own brick and mortar office in Salt Lake City, Utah. We went to his office. He wasn't there, but it was in a nice area. He had a nice office. So, real legitimate PI, okay? Not an internet PI, not an unscrupulous, PI, just not anybody on these streets. So these are the types of people. Real PIs are the people I promote. So when people come to me and say, hey, do you have a recommendation on a PI? You know what I always tell everybody? I'm not from your area. So I really don't know your PIs. But whatever PI you choose, I would definitely recommend one from your area. Okay, that's my recommendation across the board when anybody comes here and asks for any kind of advice when they're going through a missing child or a missing person, or what type of PI they should get. Okay, you get what you pay for, and that you get nothing but headaches with internet PIs that hunt you down and find you on social media to sell you their services. Okay, and usually it comes with, oh, by the way, this is free of charge, right? You get what you pay for. They're not legitimate. They're trying to take your case and use it to promote them. And that's all they're doing. They violate confidentiality. They put stuff up on the internet that has no business being there. And it's because you've given them the opportunity to violate your rights. So we like using reputable private investigators around this country. Private investigators that typically have brick and mortar businesses. That means they have an office that you can walk into, open a door, and go sit in a lobby and go get in front of them. Those types of PIs. This is what Jason Jensen is, that type of PI. And he covered the Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner case pro bono, which was probably a lot. And so now he's got this, he's been going around. He even talked about Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain, he feels, is a homicide versus a suicide. And he even went out there covering that case. Now we have him covering a little bit of the Nancy Guthrie case, but he's also reminding us that there are a few people from the local area, Utah, which is his area, as well as another Arizona, much younger folks that are out there. And he wanted to remind everybody that there are also other missing persons. So I thought I'd take a few moments and just give him a plug, one, and then two, read his post here. So missing person alert. While everyone's talking about Nancy Guthrie, there have been two other cases across my desk lately. There's a 21-year-old Isabella Kumis missing from Avondale, Arizona, and a 31-year-old Cheyenne Turner missing from West Valley City, Utah, who was last heard in the Phoenix area. So it sounds like both of these people were in the Arizona area. Isabel went missing on January 11th, 2026. I find that interesting because January 11th happens to be a very curious date in this Nancy Guthrie case. And Cheyenne went missing about April 14th, so around Valentine's Day. You can almost tell that Cheyenne's probably going to be one that is a boyfriend. I don't know why I feel that, but I just feel like just because of the date, it feels like it'll be a significant other. And Nancy Guthrie went missing on February 1st. The only actual person of interest in all three of these cases is Tommy Rodriguez, who is currently out on bail related to Isabella's disappearance. And Isabella is the one that went missing on January 11th. So attention to Globe, Arizona area. If anyone sees this front passenger seat that belongs in a red 2011 Sonata, please alert Avondale police. So that sounds like they're missing a car seat, which would probably have some blood on it that I would presume, and that's probably why it's missing. So Isabel's seat had been removed from the car, and it's believed to be a seat dumped somewhere nearby in a desert, along with Isabella. Tommy Rodriguez was caught at Globe Convenience Station with the car and was filling up two gas jugs when he was apprehended. He is currently out on bail. So he was in the process of trying to destroy something. So he was filling up the jugs when he was ultimately arrested. So it sounds like he was about to go out and try to, put something, burn something. So it sounds like there might be some evidence that has not been touched just yet. So there is that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I have not had an opportunity to say hi to you guys, so come on in. We're about to get started on the two suspect theory. I know we have been kind of bouncing around with the single suspect versus two suspects. Now this is starting to heat up a little bit different, okay? We have been very strong in our conviction. If it was a single suspect, I truly believe sexual assault a scenario would be a viable path forward. But when we're dealing with two individuals, we're dealing with something much different. We're dealing with a targeted approach. Now the question has to be, is this because they targeted her because they found out who she was or where she lived? Or are they targeting her because they were hired to? You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, and many people have said this, whenever you're going to burglarize a unit, you usually have a deflated backpack. Why? Because you're using your backpack to fill it up with the stolen items. We're watching a situation where a backpack was full in what we believe when they came in. But what if? And this appears to be potentially a working theory. And why they're paying close attention to that security door. So if you guys don't know, the FBI and law enforcement were back out at Nancy Guthrie's house to recanvass. And according to some reports, they were paying note and special attention to the entryway door. That entryway door is a security door. So it is, you could break through it if you had the right tools, but it is a deterrent. It is a strong deterrent. It is very difficult to get into that. Now, granted, you can bring some tools and bore out the locking mechanisms and stuff like that to get in, but you're talking about some very noisy work and, something that's not very quick to enter through that door. So why in the world would this person be? And this comes back to our revelation of, in fact, somebody renting their house out. And in fact, not only did somebody rent their house out, but as soon as Nancy's case was reported, they pretty much evacuated that house. So those theories or those rumors we were hearing about the rental behind Nancy's house or near Nancy's house are true. We've been having a lot of problems with why we feel there was no car taken. And one of those theories I talked about was, what if it was a neighbor? What if it was a close neighbor that did this and maybe they didn't need a car? We do see images of what appears to be a vehicle in the back that our mainstream media is not looking at because, in all fairness, they didn't find it. Law enforcement hasn't talked about it. And so they're not going to entertain that it appears that once you blow up and enhance the images behind the guy on February 1st, the early morning hours of February 1st, it appears that there is a car in the parking lot, that there is a car kind of down, like you see the right about here. You see where the driveway is right here? Well, the driveway kind of comes down here, and where this red circle is right here would be probably in the area on the driveway where the assailant appeared to have parked. So I still believe there was a car there, but there is another theory that it is possible that these people rented a house, and instead of putting her in a car, they threw her over the shoulders and took her to their house and did whatever they needed to do with her, or whatever. And I keep wondering, is there any rental properties there? Did the people because when you rent like on Airbnb or just a rental, the homeowners or the rental agents come into the house to make sure the house isn't damaged or destroyed. And they go through a checklist. Was there any blood or anything that was stained? Did this appear like there was like maybe thick plastic put up anywhere in the rooms or anything like that? It sounds very deep and dark, but you got to ask the questions, because in today's society where we have, information at our fingertips, people can plan a little better. People can, put in preparations to reduce, say blood or body fluid, getting out or seeping out. People can take precautions. And we've seen it, like, movies and satire or, fiction like Dexter. Dexter helps a lot of people, as crazy as it sounds, as a fictional show, but they still research the stuff. I mean, you're not talking about boneheads that write these scripts. You're talking about people that are highly educated. And they think these things through. That's how they make realistic, fiction. So I really do believe this two suspect theory is starting to rise to the cream of the crop. I really do think it's starting to rise to the top. I really do, because we're starting to see that antenna out of the pocket, and many of us feel that is a walkie-talkie. If there's a walkie-talkie, there's a second person. But somebody put forth a theory that maybe the reason why he was walking up to the door is because somebody was already in the house getting ready to let him in or help him get Nancy Guthrie out of the house. It sounds like a lot more photos have been found in the last 24 to 48 hours, a lot more, from a lot of the cameras. And they even there was even an article that I read that they have Nancy Guthrie in the back of the Uber car, that Uber ride was recorded. So law enforcement even has that, and it didn't provide any leads. Everything appeared to be normal. So if you guys are curious, yeah, they have the images of her going to Annie's house in the back of that Uber. The Uber driver has fully cooperated and handed them over everything. And that Uber driver had video surveillance in their vehicle. So that's good. Melanie, it's nice to see you. YouTuber Eeyore Blues, Erica, Bombastic, good morning. Cinderella up in the chat bright and early with us this morning. It's nice to see you, love. Who else do we have up in the chat? Good morning, Mike. It's nice to see you, love bug. Downey, good morning, YouTuber. I think I said hi to you, but just in case I missed you. Hey, Mally Cat up in the house. It's nice to have you as well. Baby love, my baby love up in the chat. It's nice to see you as well. Hey, Holly's in here. Good morning, Miss Holly. Missy Motormouth, it's nice to see you, love bug. Denise, good morning. Grave Crime with Grace. Supergirl is up in the chat. Hello, Supergirl. I hope you are doing well this morning. Laura, good morning. Good morning. Emma, it's nice to see you. Momo, it's nice to see you. Tina Lee, Mally Cat gifted a Bullhorn Buddy membership that went to Supergirl. It's nice to have you both. Thank you. Our beautiful Melanie is supporting our efforts to get to Arizona. Front door, front row seat. We're not going to be sitting out in front of Nancy Guthrie's house, just to let you know if we get out there. We're going to be pulling some public records, and we're going to be getting out in certain areas to search. We have some ideas of where we would like to search. I've already, and especially with this new information of having the rental house, that means that they were even closer, that theory was even closer than we thought, which was one of my theories, right? I even told you guys, the neighbor theory. We've never deep dived into the neighbor theory because it was a theory that was shelved and until something else comes up. Now, this one is a multiple, this is the concerted and conspiracy theory, but now it's the concerted conspiracy theory that we're incorporating a neighbor theory into it. So, we've got two theories running with this whole two suspect theory for today's show because we're incorporating this multiple suspect theory in with also a house being rented. So we're going to be getting into all of that as well. Jewel, it's nice to see you, love. Sandwich up in the house. Stella, it's nice to see you. I hope you're well. Sandra, good morning. Joe, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Jody, it's nice to see you. Thank you. Skybell, Big Mac Mike up in the house. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Our dandy Nightbot is in here. Mary, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Nomi, Twisted Tails, nice to see you. Barbosa, hello, love. Baby Pickle, it's nice to see you. Oh, Outer Banks is on time. Look at that, Outer Banks, me and you. Hey. That's my girl. The Boss, it's nice to see you. I hope your birthday was well. Emma. Shiva? Hopefully I'm not butchering your name. I'm trying. Chevet? Are we doing Chevet? Are we doing? I think it's Chevet. Chevet. Sounds like Chevet. My hooked on phonics is bad. My hooked on phonics is bad. Oh, look who it is. Our Betty fan. Hugs and loves to you, babe. Judy, it's nice to see you. The dog, hello. Goya, it's nice to see you. Good morning. JM, it's nice to see you. I think, has the FBI, let me come up here. Has the FBI mentioned a rental house and one? It has been confirmed. I trust Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace has been here for forever. Everybody trusts Nancy Grace in the biz, okay? And this is important. When she has people that come to her and she knows that this is the case, like there is a rental property, there were people, she said it. I trust her research. She's been around. And if you want to talk about anybody that sources that I truly trust when she says, I have a source, I truly believe she has a source. Okay? I don't ever have to, hey, Christina, I don't ever have to sit here and say, oh, the real me too up in the chat. It's nice to see you. How's your hand, babe? I haven't even had a chance to call you. But when she's up in the chat talking about her sources, those are the sources that I believe. Everybody knows Nancy Grace, okay? Nancy Grace has been around since I was a freaking baby in diapers, okay? Everybody knows Nancy Grace. Everybody talks to Nancy Grace. Everybody trusts her in the business. So when she's been working on these sources for like literally 40, 50 years, okay? I don't know how long the lady's been in the business, but I'm 46 years old and I don't remember her not being in the business, okay? So that's just my point. And so when you have some type of thing like that, like I hope in, another 20 or something years, I got the sources too, I'm working on it, okay? I'm traveling the country to get my sources. I'm working on it. But when you're in the business long enough, people trust you and you have people to call because you worked with them. You did interviews with them. Like people today, like think about it. Brian Enton's going to be somewhere someday, right? Another 10 years. We don't know where he's going to be. He might be the person he might be a Caroline Leavitt, right? And I got Brian Enton's personal number and be like, hey, Brian, what can you give old Bullhorn Betty here? Come on, go. Give me something. Give me something. Give me something I can use for my show. Come on, Brian. Right? We never know. I think that's why you should be nice to everybody. I'm not a nice person. I'm just joking. I'm a nice person. Sometimes, you know, I'm a little jaded. I've lived life. I've been knocked down. I've been pushed around by life. Who's been pushed around and knocked around by life? Okay, you got to get some thick skin, and you got to find a way to roll with the punches. Okay, you got to find happy, positive ways to roll with the punches. Okay, I'm just saying. Not to discount her work or sources, but she seems very angry to me. That's what I like about her. Haven't you guys noticed? Don't you guys remember? Momo, you got to go back to some of my earlier work, okay? Hey, Vicky, it's nice to see you. You got to go back to some of my earlier work. I'm angry too. Have you seen me covering Sebastian Rogers? Like the minute the show comes on, the horns start growing out of my head. Okay, I mean. I can't stand that. I love the case. I want to help the case, but man, I just want to smack the crap out of all the people. I want to, you know, that statement I have on my shirt. You want to snap them and shake the shit out of them until the light comes on. That's what I got a shirt that says that. People are like glow sticks. I want to snap them and shake the shit out of them until the light comes on. That's what I want to do to like freaking Tennessee, right? That's what I want to do to Tennessee. I swear, that's what I want to do to Tennessee. But you know what? It's unlawful. We're lawful and legal over here, so we can't snap them and shake the shit out of them until the light comes on. But we can definitely expose them and make them feel this big in the public spotlight. So that's what we do the best. And that's what we're doing to Sheriff Chris Nanos. He wanted to fight. We asked him nicely to turn this stuff over to the FBI. He might have been able to salvage his reputation, but now we're just cutthroat. It's like he's got to go. I think everybody is united to get this sheriff out of office. And it's unfortunate. He should have just quit being so arrogant. And you know, after hearing some information, I understand why people are so angry. He lied about El Paso. He lied about his history with El Paso. He would have never advanced forward to become sheriff with that type of history. He lied about all of it. So I understand why everybody is so upset. He built a career based on lie. Now, has he been able to... I just don't see a man that's willing to stomp a suspect's head to the point that he had to go to the ICU and then turn around and be that scholar sheriff. Okay? I just don't see it. I have that shirt in purple with a zombie snapping the glow stick. So, at the end of the day... I don't know. I really don't. So let's go ahead and get started on some of the lives that we have pulled up here. I hope everybody's going to have a great morning. Danielle, good morning. Skybell, it's nice to see you. I think that's all right. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Sorry, guys, it's early for me too, and I'm not even done with my first cup of coffee yet. So. We'll be energized by hour 4. We're going to be rolling through this most of the day today, guys. So I hope you guys are sticking with.
Welcome back. 24 minutes after the hour. There are new developments in the mysterious disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. News Nation has just learned that photos from all 3 security cameras at her home have been recovered. While authorities say nothing of note has been found so far, investigators are taking...
They have been recovered. So that is, guys, give me just a second. I gotta change. If you guys know anything about me, I am like a major lover of this stuff right here. It's 0 calorie. It's a 0 calorie sweetener for the coffee. Because I drink so much coffee, I've got to have something that's 0 calorie. So I have these pumps on these. This is the one that's almost empty. The problem is that these things are so full, you put the pump right into them, they'll start spilling out to the top. So you got to be able to dump some of it out. So I've been working on it. Now it's time for me to change the top. So this whole entire theory of this secondary person and the fact that all these cameras have been recovered, are we finally going to get the answers that we have been searching for when it comes to Nancy Guthrie's home? Sorry, try not to. It's quite the project to change these things out because they like to leak when you're pushing. Okay, good. All right. Ah, shh. I forgot how I was connected. Hold on. I'm almost done. I swear. This is so unprofessional. We are definitely not a well-produced. I should fire the producer. Oh, who thinks we should fire the producer? Raise your hand. Who thinks we should fire the producer? Raise your hand. Okay, let me get my coffee. I gotta have some coffee, folks. I cannot do this without coffee. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I gotta be honest with you. Okay, let's get back to this. Sorry. So we have cameras. They're now going through the film. So this is going to be interesting. They've got the film, and they're saying that nothing of interest has come up yet. I'm not convinced with that. I don't believe that. I mean, they've got this masked gunman on the front door camera. I think they know how these people came in, and now all of a sudden we're having a 2-suspect theory today after this was released yesterday. This is interesting. Let's keep going.
Taking a closer look at the security gate on the door. News Nation senior correspondent Brian Enton has been on top of this case from the very start. Brian, good afternoon. What is the significance of Nancy's front door?
Yeah, first of all, it's good news that they're making progress with the other cameras. Nick, we've reported on that. Of course, they had the camera from the front door. Now they also have it from the back. But look at this. This is interesting. A lot of people didn't pick up on this. There's a security door in front of the front door. You know, it's got bars. A lot of people in the area have these security doors that go in front of the front door. It's almost like a screen door, but there's serious bars there. And I'm told they're specifically interested in it because when you think about it and you see the video from the suspect at the front door, it would be very, very difficult to break through that front security door, which is leading some law enforcement experts to believe that there may have already been someone inside the house with Nancy inside the house, and this may have been a second suspect, this one you see here, at the front door, getting ready for them to bring Nancy out the front door. Again, it's just a theory. It's something to think about, but the fact...
It's just a theory, folks, okay? It's just a theory. But man, doesn't that make sense? I wonder if the FBI has come to the conclusion there were two. I think it's starting to rise to the top, and you know who has been pushing that? I can tell you. And I actually reached out to him. I haven't seen him here in a couple of days. Is Keith? Keith has been, informing us. He's been the one informing us. I think he's the one that even brought up El Chapo or whatever whatever. But I can tell you that, and I don't know how many other people, but even when I talked about other things, because I've had conversations with several people on here, and I can tell you that in chat, it seemed like Keith knew. He kind of, he had this, he kind of knew it wasn't Tommaso. He's the one that sent me, when we were live here, he's the one that sent me that gem heist type of thing. GEM, not GYM. Okay, gem, like jewels. And it was where somebody had stolen like a gold bar. El Verga, Mr. Rooster says, well, good morning, Mr. Rooster. I hope you're doing well. El Verga. I don't know what El Verga is. Let me write that down. El Verga. But, there's been some people, even Jennifer Coffindaffer brought up the possibility of this Chilean ring, burglary ring. But I don't feel this was a burglary. So I believe that this is now concerted in conspiracy with multiple people. It's a concerted effort. I'm starting, and we had that Sleuth for Truth, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Melly Cat, proud to be. Aw, thank you. Big hugs and love. Oh, you guys are showing some love today. Thank you. Thank you guys. You guys are making me feel good. Aw. Thank you. I'm the one who called you and told you I believe it was a walkie-talkie. Yes, and that's Mike. Mike believes that it was a walkie-talkie. And you said something else, Mike. There was something else that you had brought up that I remember attributing to you, and I can't remember what it is now. I'm sure once I say it out of my mouth, I will. No, El Charro Restaurant. Oh, okay, okay, I see what you're saying. El Charro Restaurant. Riley, I don't know what you mean by the El Charro Restaurant. No, El Charro Restaurant's one thing, but there's gangs, and one of these gangs, there was an El Chapo. El Chapo is who somebody was talking about, but I don't understand what El Chapo is, if it's a person or a gang. And then we just heard about El Verga, if I'm saying that right, which I'm sure I'm not, because I'm not. I have half of my family is Hispanic, but I don't speak Spanish. So I'm really, really, really sorry, but I mean, when I was in middle school, I made a B in Spanish and a D in English. My dad couldn't figure it out, so I got a spanking, but it didn't matter. I mean, now I don't remember any of it. I only know the English language, and I don't even do that well. I speak into a phone and into a microphone. That's the English language. I agree with Brian. The masked man was and not only that, he was too comfortable. This would also satisfy Faye. This would also satisfy that nonchalant, right? Like that, where he felt, we kept noticing like how comfortable he was being out there. And one of the things is, and I still believe this, that this is not the first time they've done this. Even if it's a group, if it's a singular person, I've identified that literally the minute that we saw this, and I observed him for the first time and observed him with that light in how he was doing this, and just that intricate work he was doing. Like, that's just weird. We've never seen anybody act or perform that way, and that's what makes me feel like this is not his first rodeo. You know, this is not his first rodeo. So I feel like this makes sense to a lot of things. Like, why was he not curious? Why was he not concerned about triggering that alarm? We've said that multiple times when we saw him out moving. It was like he was just nonchalant, taking his time. Well, having somebody in the house on a walkie-talkie saying, "You're good, we got her, come on in." And he's walking up to the front door and he's like, "Oh shit, there's a camera. Let me cover the camera." And then they rip the camera off and they push her out of the front door. Maybe that's how it all worked. I don't know. Mr. Rooster, yeah. Okay. What we got here? Thank you so much. Okay, I'm too far down. Sorry. No, it wasn't a burglary. No one heists bodies of elderly people for stuff. No, this was definitely, that's what, now that we're seeing this in action, now that we're starting to see this develop into a multiple person, which again, we did have an aspect of this channel that was pushing for that double person or, multiple people scenario. We had the gem, we had the Chilean, burglary ring. We had a few others that were brought to our attention, including El Chapo and then now this El Verga. And we have to remember this is not too far from the Mexican border. We have to remember that we do have Venezuelan cartel here in this country, and we did go over to Venezuela and take their president out of his bed with his wife. So, we have to think also about what's going on in our country too. Did that have anything to do with this? Is this a payback somehow for taking a president out of his bed? I mean, we have to ask questions like that. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with that high of a political I would think that they would go a little further up the food chain, because, we took the president of their country. I would think that they would want somebody a little higher up the food chain than a grandmother of one of our well-known newscast people, It just doesn't seem like that. But you have to ask. No, El Mencho. That's what it was. What did I say? El Chapo? No, I meant El Mencho. El Mencho is the one that's been spoken. Thank you, Riley. Thank you. El Mencho. Thank you, Riley Rue. I appreciate that. El Mencho. Yes. Okay. The El Mencho is a cartel. That's it. Okay. So that's what they were talking. That's what, so I think that's what, Keith and the other group here in here talking about the multiple scenario, because they're the ones that brought it up to us first. And he called into the show and brought up that he thought that there was more than 2 people, possibly 3, one in the back, one in the front, and a getaway car driver, if I recall correctly. So this is starting to look like it's panning out. And so, it almost makes you want to just find out, like, obviously some people know this setup, in my opinion, the masked man had, let me move this out of the way. Masked man had info the cams were not working when he got close and saw the red light. He decided to put flowers. Yeah, maybe that is the case. Maybe it's a police scanner or walkie-talkie. No, the police scanner has a much different antenna. This is what a police scanner, an independent police scanner, looks like right here. And this is pretty standard. This is a Bobcat. So this is pretty standard for, that type of stuff. This is a much different antenna. I pulled out my walkie-talkies, and my walkie-talkies antenna appeared to be more in line with what was observed in his pocket. So we do have, And I don't even use the Bobcat anymore because there's been so many apps on our computer and our phone that gets us what we need without having to search endlessly for codes, But this is one that when you want to try to get some of the back channels, you can scan for back channels and try to listen in. But typically they use channels that we can't get on these, right? Because they keep extending it. And this used to have 4 numbers, 3 numbers, and now it's like 4 numbers. So, law enforcement is getting more clever than the equipment we get. So they do have back channels that we can't scan for, can't get, or don't know how to get, or at least I don't know how to get it. Maybe somebody that has, better skill than I. I'm a Jackie of all trades and a master of none. I'm just saying. Okay. Oh, good morning, Sonia. It's nice to see you. Yeah, El Chapo is a cartel leader. Okay, El Chapo. No, I think he's been picked up. I think it's El Mencho. I'm sorry. Because all the L's, get me. So it was El Mencho, not El Chapo. It was El Mencho, and somebody also brought into the chat El Verga, if I'm pronouncing that right. And I'm sure there's like an R roll there, but I don't roll R's either. Why? Because I'm a Floridian, okay? That doesn't know Spanish. GE girl, it's nice to see you. I got something up for the pacemaker. Actually, so for related to the pacemaker, this is what was sent to me. It says, yes, a pacemaker can be reused, but typically only through specialized, sterilized, and reconditioning programs. I don't know what that means. Are you thinking that maybe I didn't read your email. Maybe I should go back and read the email, but are you thinking that maybe somebody chose her for the pacemaker? I know that, I have said in my opinion with someone here illegally, it's possible this could be everybody. Good morning. Jeremiah, we don't plug a whole lot of additional content creators around here. Just keep that in mind. Some chats are a little different than others. So please keep that in mind. I'd greatly appreciate that. Melody, good morning. It's nice to see you. Downey, good morning. Okay, so now we've learned that they've got the footage. They've got all the footage, it seems like. So I wonder what's really on that footage. If you guys are just coming in, let's go back just a little bit.
Second suspect, this one you see here, at the front door, getting ready for them to bring Nancy out the front door. Again, it's just a theory. It's something to think about. But the fact that there is that security door that was presumably locked would make it very difficult for someone to actually break in through the front door, Nick.
Oh, Brian, that is definitely something we had not picked up on before. What more are you hearing from Nancy's neighbors about the FBI in the neighborhood?
Yeah, so the FBI has been back in the neighborhood the last several days, I am told, talking to the same neighbors again who live right near Nancy's house, but with some new questions. They're zeroing in on some dates that I hadn't heard before. We knew about January 11th. They wanted video from January 11th. They're now asking for video also from the weekend before Nancy went missing, which is interesting. Makes you wonder if they believe that this person may have cased the house, cased the neighborhood, and they seem to be specifically interested on weekends, which is also sort of standing out to me. You know, is it possible they think this person has a job during the week and was casing the house on the weekends? These are the kinds of questions that they've been asking the neighbors, Nick.
Brian, this is still so troubling. Have we heard anything more from the family?
No, we haven't heard much. I mean, Savannah Guthrie hasn't released another video. She's obviously back in New York City now. She hasn't been back on the Today Show, but she hasn't been in Arizona from what I've been told. In terms of her sister Annie, who lives just a couple of miles away, she also hasn't said anything publicly. The last time that we saw her and Savannah was several weeks ago when they actually went out and visited the house and went and visited this memorial that's in front of the house.
News Nation's Brian Enton with the very latest on the Nancy Guthrie case. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased.
I can't stand that guy.
Pima County Supervisor Matt.
So, you know, we've got this whole situation. I feel that we should be a little further along in this investigation. I don't feel that Pima County Sheriff, I mean, it's the FBI we keep seeing back out there on the roads. This is why this case should be turned over to the FBI and let them handle it. This is why Sebastian Rogers' case should be turned over to the FBI to let them handle it. Look at all this stuff that the FBI does that these sheriff's departments are unwilling to do. You know, they're out there. They know that they're not going to get a case solved without being out there in the field. And yet we have Sebastian Rogers, detectives and sheriff's departments sitting on their ass doing absolutely nothing to help move that needle. Every time we come here with Sheriff Nanos, he's at a baseball game, at a gym, or sitting behind his desk wanting to be a reality TV star and not actually in the field doing his flippin' job. And it's getting freaking annoying. It's getting so annoying that everybody is up in arms about it. There is a massive effort to recall this POS that almost killed somebody. This man should be in jail, not running a sheriff's department. Okay? He kicked asleep a robbery suspect back in the 80s. He should have been in jail. He should have went to jail. Never once should he have ever rised up through the ranks to become the sheriff of a department. And how, you know, this just shows piss poor research of the locals, from the locals, of any politician that they're hiring. How many other pieces of garbage do you guys hire that you never even once looked into? You got a card in the mail and you're like, oh, he's the guy. Now we've got a grandmother missing and we're realizing, this guy's not the guy, and he likes hurting people. He should be in jail with the criminals, not running our sheriff's department. Oh, let's recall him. Well, it's a day late and a dollar short. He probably got a lady killed already. Okay? So now we're hearing from more politicians about how they feel of this no-confidence sheriff that has really obliterated his sheriff's department. People do not want to work for this man. And people keep voting this man into office, forcing people to deal with him. How dare you guys? You guys have obliterated your own police or sheriff's department. You guys obliterated, and everybody, we see people, hopefully law enforcement, the people that have been interviewed that stepped down and retired and stuff, maybe they'll go back into law enforcement. Maybe they'll run for sheriff. You know, it might be their calling. Maybe if they know what needs to be fixed in the department, instead of retiring and running away, you know, stand up and do something about it. Get involved, become the sheriff, run for office, make the changes that are necessary. So let's listen.
Hines to help us walk through all of this. Matt, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with the fact that investigators are now looking closer at the security gate on the door. Have you heard anything about the FBI returning to the neighborhood?
I have not, and anything that could provide for useful information or a lead that returns Nancy to her loved ones or helps us figure out this mystery is of course, welcome news.
Matt, how has this been for the community? I have to believe everything that we've seen, we've heard, she was actively involved in church and in her community. The media attention, the unknown answers. How tough has this been?
Oh, it's a terrible tragedy, personal tragedy for the family, the Guthrie family, of course, but this entire community really has come together in solidarity and support of the family, and this really does touch really everybody in Pima County, and all of our hearts go out to the family. It's so frustrating that we're basically still almost at square one, it seems, in terms of any real leads here in the investigation, and I don't know that that's the authorities that are involved. I know we have 1,500 hardworking men and women of law enforcement doing everything that they can to.
Sorry, guys.
Chris Nanos,
I had to check something.
people seem to be really frustrated with him. Is it because this frustration has no place to go? He has been on the case since the beginning.
I think that's part of it. Look, I have had some concerns with leadership of the department for some time.
I've had leadership with the department for some time. There was nobody ignorant to the fact that that people were complaining about Sheriff Nanos before he was reelected. My question to the public is are you guys not listening? Are you guys just blissfully unaware? I'm hoping that this community realizes you guys need to pay attention. This could have been your family. You better be thankful it wasn't. You better be thankful it was somebody else's. But you need to start doing something now so it doesn't become yours.
And in particular, what I'm hearing most recently is that there's now been some reporting in a local paper here in Phoenix with the Arizona Republic that the sheriff misrepresented his work history, withheld a lot of disciplinary history that he had when he worked for El Paso Police Department before coming to Pima County to even get a job. And that kind of omission is a very serious thing to have when you're the head of a law enforcement agency like this.
Amen.
Matt, we have some sound on that. Let's take a listen and chat about it on the other side.
If you were the guy, if you were that monster, you should be worried. You should let her go. I have to have that faith. Every day, we'll keep at it. We ain't quitting. It's what happens in investigations, particularly bigger investigations, where they're so excited, probably like you are. We've got a good lead, we're gonna, and then it falls through.
That, of course, was the sheriff talking to our own Brian Enton about how there's so much excitement in the beginning and then it starts to dissipate. Do you feel like this frustration is warranted?
Of course, it's natural. This makes sense. I'm a physician, student of human behavior. This is really frustrating for the entire community, and I know for a lot of the folks that are working hard to find her.
Matt, you know, the man leading the charge to oust the sheriff, Daniel Gutierrez, spoke with news station's Katie Pavlich about the system of failures he says has occurred with Sheriff Nanos at the helm. Let's take a listen.
So this is about more than, of course, the Nancy Guthrie case. This was just the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially.
Yeah, and Nancy Guthrie was the final thing, and I've been out to Nancy Guthrie's. It's a shame that crime has risen to this point in our community, and I can't blame just Nanos. We have failed leadership in Pima County.
Matt,
what is the one thing I said when we came into this case? I know people don't like me getting political and stuff like that on news stuff, but at the end of the day, it is political. because we wouldn't have the level of crimes that we have if we've got the right people in office. Not everybody is plagued with this type of stuff in their communities. Okay? There's only certain communities that are plagued with this type of stuff. Yes, we all have crime, but usually it's low-level crime. You know, not everybody has these major criminal cases and high-profile cases in their community. They're usually low-level. So, yeah, there's crime everywhere. We're not, you know, I'm not disputing that. I'd like to see even low-level crime, you know, stop. And I believe if we had a healthy economy and people could work and get jobs, a lot of the, you know, robberies and burglaries and petty thefts would go away because people could afford to live. You know, I believe that that's why we need educational enforcement, not just jail for some of these assailants. I just believe in a total reform of our the way we've been doing things. The way we've been doing things is not working. I mean, at the end of the day, the people, I don't ever think that the people that are in jail for a life sentence will ever be rehabilitated. You know, whenever you get to the point where you're committing homicides, we shouldn't even be taking care of you at that point. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Because I don't want them ever out to walk among us. You don't want them ever out to walk among us. I think it's inhumane to cage a human being for the rest of their life. So, you know, what do? We take them out to the pasture. What do we do with a lame horse? I mean, you know, I'm sorry. This is the reality of the world. I know it's disgusting and it's horrible to talk about, but let's talk about it. Okay, that's why I'm in support of DP. I think more people should get behind it because let's face it, these people should never be out among us. We don't want them around our children. We don't want them around our wives or our grandmas and grandpas. We don't want these people walking among us, you know? And if we're talking about animal cruelty and human cruelty, I mean, I'm sorry, but caging an animal for the rest of their life is inhumane, and so is caging a human being for the rest of their life. You know, if they get to the point where they need to be put down, they need to be put down. You know, some of our animals are just too violent to be around us. We put them down. Okay, some of these human beings are too violent to be around us. We need to start putting them down. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. It's how I feel. I'm sick and tired of wasting our taxpayer money on somebody that can never see the light of day again. That we could never allow to see the light of day again. You know, if people can be rehabilitated, then rehabilitate them. If you can rehabilitate somebody, it doesn't take the rest of your life to do it. So if we're telling us they have to stay behind bars for the rest of their life, they'll never walk again. Well, then that's telling us that our rehabilitation is not rehabilitation. And if they're not going to be able to be rehabilitated, well, that gives you your answer that you need. And the people that can be rehabilitated need to have the opportunity to be fully rehabilitated, to have all of the stuff. If you want to stop the revolving door, many of these people came from poor homes that were littered with drug abuse, substance abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, other things. You've got to undo all of that and then fix them and educate them and put them back out there into society. That's the only thing that's going to work, in my opinion. That's the only thing that's going to work. But you've got somebody like Chris Nanos in a community that is about as bad as the criminals he arrests. You should look at his disciplinary history. Actually, we have it. Let's look at it. You know what? We got 391 people in chat. Let's look at this man's history. Let's look at this man's history. Let me pull this back. We're going to pull this up. Let's look at this man's history. I want you guys to understand what we're looking at here. Because we have receipts, so there's no point in us, talking about something and then not producing the receipts for it. So give me just a second. I think it's the 18 one. Is that the one? And then let me go down. Hold on, one more. Let me go down one more. One more. I don't think that's it. I think we have one more. Open the 18s. Let me open the 19. Here it is. Here it is, right here. So this is related to his El Paso department. Let me pull this up on the big screen. There we go. All right. So as you guys see here, All right. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to go down this. So this was not an isolated event. Nanos had accumulated a disciplinary history over his 6 years from 1976 to 1982 with the El Paso Police Department, including 8 suspensions, totaling 37 days without pay for issues like excessive force. He's always been an abusive, arrogant, pompous piece of garbage. Excessive force. He received a 15-day suspension in March of 1982, which, by the way, this day and age, he would have been fired and never been allowed to be a police officer anywhere in this country except Sumner County, where they wipe your record or set it aside to become their law enforcement. So this officer here would only be able to work in Sumner County, Tennessee, with this background here. And so a 15-day suspension of March of 82 for kicking a robbery suspect in the head so far that he has sent that robbery suspect to ICU. That's attempted murder. This man should have never been around a badge or a gun ever again. Off-duty gambling, tardiness, failure to report, dereliction of duty, making threats. This is your sweet, sweet, sweet Sheriff Nanos. This is his disciplinary history in El Paso. Now, granted, it was many years ago, but let's face it, in today's society, had he done that today, he would never be able to wear or carry a badge or a gun ever. Somebody get Robert, please remove that. We're not getting involved. We're not getting involved. I made my statements about it. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're not being deleted or anything like that, but we're not getting involved in that. I don't believe it. It's, in my opinion, we're not talking about it. We're not bringing this. We're not using my platform to get involved in this situation. We're not doing it. This is a true crime channel. This is not a drama channel, and we're not getting involved. I want to make sure that we have our line in the sand, and if I have to block those letters in this chat, which I don't want to have to do, and we haven't had to do it, but we're not, other people may want to get into the drama of it. We're not getting into the drama of it. To me, I don't believe the accusations. I don't believe, there's just a lot of stuff I don't believe. Okay. That's why we're not getting involved in it. We're going to let the courts deal with it the way they deal with it. If other channels want to run and act like they know something, they can. We're not doing it. So please don't bring other people's drama into my chat. Don't bring it into my house. Okay. This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with our channel. Sorry, not sorry. Sweet, how the F did he get a Corvette, Nanos? Does he have a Corvette? Who knows? He's obviously I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate. So we'll see. Thank you for the super chat, Momo. We appreciate it. Sweet, how the fuck did he get the Corvette, Nanos? I don't know. Does he? I never even knew he drove a Corvette. But at the end of the day, I don't know why this. When I see him in action, now that I hear his history, you know what the first thing that comes to my mind? Sociopath and narcissistic. That's who I think Nanos is. I think Nanos is a big problem. And I wasn't going to be mean to him, so don't think this is me being nasty to Nanos. I didn't want to be nasty to Nanos. I didn't want to be mean to Nanos. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. You guys know that. I liked Nanos at the beginning. But I also trust Brian Enton. Okay, I'm sorry. Brian Enton, I will tell you, he doesn't like ruffling feathers. He doesn't like being mean to anybody. He, no matter how he feels about something, as strongly as he feels, he will always put a nice spin on it. I'm sorry. I've watched Brian Enton. He will never personally attack anyone. So for him to be saying these things about Chris Nanos, this is not personal attack. These are just observations that he's very concerned with. So when he raises those, especially Brian Enton of all people, I pay attention because I know Brian Enton is not going to pick a fight with anybody because he's not like that. Okay. What I like about, Brian Enton the most is that he's not that cutthroat, media person from the 80s and 90s, which I promote. I like that cutthroat news organization dynamic. I like that. It kept people honest. It kept people honest. I'm not with this pussycat reporting that we got today. But he has the happy balance where he's not cutthroat, but he's still very strong, and he still holds people accountable in such a professional. I don't know. I just got my observations of Brian Enton over the years are just all positive. I don't think that there's ever been anything negative I've ever come across when it comes to Brian Enton. I really don't. I mean, does he vote and think the same way? I don't think he does, but I don't care. I don't care. I love Brian Enton. Okay, I love Brian Enton, and I love the way he does his work. And when I listen to him and he's saying, look, there's problems behind the scenes. Look, there's problems behind the scenes. This man can crucify Brian Enton. It doesn't matter. I know for a fact that when Brian Enton says something, it's fully researched. I know that he understands sources. He's never bringing a source up unless it's been corroborated. Like, I know how he does things, that when it comes out of his mouth, I trust it. I don't have to worry when it comes out of his mouth. Now, he's at the mercy of his sources, just like every other person, but I know how delicate he is with his sources and how he gets that stuff corroborated. He never just rolls with one person telling him. He will get that nugget of information, do his research, and when he gets that second bite, then he brings it forward. I know how he works. So I trust his reporting. He's the one saying there's something going on behind the scenes. He was the one reporting the problems with the FBI. Why? Because they have a source with the FBI. We do know that there is somebody with News Nation that's camped outside of Washington, D.C. News Nation is a wide organization that covers a lot of different topics, including major political topics, and you cannot be in the political game without having some people knowing you and talking to you. You just can't do it. Otherwise, I would be in the political game. Okay, I'm not in the political game. Why? Because I don't have that many political friends. Okay, I'm kind of one of those people that come in with the chainsaw, right? So people try to stay away from me and keep on my good side more than anything. Aw, Vicky, thank you. Momo, Jackie, Rose, the real Emily. Come toaster strudel. Now I'm craving a toaster strudel. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat the insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Thank you, Vicky, because I'm a love machine. Ow! Thank you. Thank you for showing love this morning. I love it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Don't forget to tell the people, yeah, he's a true journalist. Exactly. You'll never hear me say, I'm probably going to be pissed off at, I got angry with Nancy, but I never unsubscribed from Nancy, but I did vocalize, Nancy Grace. It broke my heart. I got mad at her. I'm sure she lost sleep over it. I'm absolutely confident she lost sleep over Betty being mad at her. Okay. And then, of course, who is it? The Court TV, Vinnie Politan. I love Vinnie Politan. I got mad at Vinnie Politan. It was my fault. I owned it. It was all my fault, but I got mad at him over me not believing him. And I broke up with him. I even unsubscribed from Court TV and Vinnie Politan. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be mad. And so I know he got his feelings hurt too. He lost a whole bunch of sleep over me not talking to him for a whole 24, 48 hours. I don't remember which. I get mad at and I will, I'm not below throwing a temper tantrum. I'm just saying it doesn't usually last very long, but I'm not opposed to having a temper tantrum. I'm not opposed to it. Oh, sometimes all I have to do is look at Nancy Grace and get pissed off than her voice, but I still love her. Yeah. I like how she just gives it to people. I don't know. I like that. Even the people come up, I was like, well, damn, he's your guest. Nancy, do you really have to take the freaking axe to him? Like, come on, really? What are you trying to say to me? It's like, oh, come on, lady. But she gets it done. I wouldn't want to be in the hot seat and piss her off live on TV. I'm just saying. She's like, oh, you can laugh if you want to. And I'm sure it's probably a nervous laugh of everything, right? I'd probably be smirking too because you don't know how to handle it. Like, is she joking? Is she not joking? Is she yelling at me? Is she not? Oh, she's really yelling at me. So anyways, let's get back to our horrible Chris Nanos recall efforts. It's underway. Let's listen.
To believe, as county supervisor, you know all the players involved in all of this. Do you think this is too extreme to do to oust the sheriff while the investigation is still ongoing?
Look, and I can't speak for the recall effort. I'm not involved and I don't represent them at all. But what I am detecting from my own office and from my own role as a supervisor, hearing a lot of frustration, not just about this Guthrie investigation, but it's an accumulation of frustrations with the sheriff and with his leadership. So I understand why there is a group that's interested in doing this. And that's their right. That is their right to recall any of us. Sounds like he might be frustrated with my leadership too, because he said that was a blanket statement there that I heard. But it's
it's a blanket statement that the leadership there sucks. I agree with that. And if this guy's one of the leaders there and he's not getting it, then yeah, he needs to be on the short list as well. You guys will understand very, very quickly. I have no loyalty to any politician. I will never have loyalty to a politician. Why? Because I think most of them are snakes. Do they mean to be snakes? Maybe not at a lower level like the county commission and BOCC and City Hall and stuff like that. But let's face it, they make terrible decisions. They make bonehead decisions, and we all have to pay for them. So I'm sick and tired of it. I have no loyalty to anybody. If they mess up at work, you know what? It's nothing personal. Fire their ass. Fire their ass. That's the way I feel about everything. Fire their ass.
It's truly, in my view, the concerning situation here is having the head of our largest law enforcement agency in Pima County be willing to potentially lie under oath in a deposition and to omit disciplinary history in his own work history. That is not confidence inspiring for the people that he's leading or for anyone in the community.
And Matt, in all of this, we continue to hold out prayers for the safe return and more information on Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
And it's just sad that it has to be like that. It really is. Now, I think this might just be, he's wearing the same thing. So this might be a section of the investigators look at the gate, the security gate. We've already went over that. So let's go through this little article right here and just read it. I found it very interesting. For more than a month, the search for Nancy Guthrie has played out in Tucson, Arizona, with the mystery surrounding her disappearance only growing. Guthrie, the mother of today's show host Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her home in the early morning hours of February 1st. Since then, despite video and photos released on February 10th, showing a chilling surveillance footage of a masked individual at her front door, authorities have yet to name a suspect. They have yet to even name a car or identify a car. Now, new images are being revealed as the sheriff investigates the case, faces recall calls. Here's everything you need to know about the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie. Additional images uncovered on cameras from Nancy Guthrie's property. The FBI said they've recovered more images from the camera at Guthrie's home. Individuals close to the investigation revealed that to ABC. The agency recovered thumbnail images, and now we're learning today that they've recovered all the camera's footage. But so far, they haven't uncovered anything alarming, according to the reports. So they may not have gotten to all of the videos yet, but they are investigating. We're hearing that they do officially have them. That's what we're hearing now. Do they have them all? They're saying they do. The reports are they do, but you know how those reports coming out from sources, we realize there's telephone involved here. So what they truly have and what we're hearing they have might alter a bit, but not too much. We know that they have a lot more than they did, including video footage, not just stills. So Justin says the SWAT team arrested 3 people next door to Nancy's house last night. That's the first time I'm hearing that. Do we know that to be? Can you send me something, Justin? Bullhornbetty at gmail.com. Bullhornbetty at gmail.com. Can you send me something about that? I had not heard that. I did a search this morning, and usually I have a good system that usually identifies any breaking news. But sometimes things are missed, so maybe I missed it in my morning research. If you could send that to me, I greatly appreciate it. Again, my email is can one of my mods put my email up in chat? It's bullhornbetty at gmail.com. Bullhornbetty at gmail.com. If you wait just a second, I will get the email to be over here in just a second. I'm waiting for one of my mods to put it up here, and then I'll put it down here at the bottom. So we're hearing that that's false, Justin. We're hearing that's false. Now, we do know that there was 3 people. Yeah, let's not move people, Lisa. Be careful with that. I don't really care about that right now. If for some reason, yes, I will. It will be right now. Brian Enton was live when it happened. Let's see. It should be on Brian Enton's X. He always posts on X before he speaks. Give me just a second. It's back. I do know we had 3 people that no, I'm not seeing anything about it on his page. That would be breaking news if somebody was arrested or detained. So, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just don't want to plug any more than we have to. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal. So I just went over Brian Enton's page here. There's nothing in here about 3 people. Like, that would be, I know Brian's posting habits. I know how he would post. And if something like that, even if it was just, detainment or something, he would say that 3 people are detained right now, very close in proximity to Nancy Guthrie's house. He would have a statement. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Justin. Let me know when it's been sent. Let me pull up my email real quick and see it. I'm just not seeing it. Okay, well, I'll wait for it. Love. Okay, so let's get back to this. We know that Pima County is under recall, or the sheriff is. It is poor leadership all the way around. I have to agree with that. And again, poor leadership all the way around doesn't necessarily mean every single commissioner or every single council member is bad. It just means that their voice is so small, they're not able to get around all of the other BS, So how did the people get into this backyard? This backyard looks like an area of concern for the investigators in this. I mean, I know that the front door is an area of concern, but how did they breach the house? And to me, it sounds like they breached the house through the back of the house. And if they breached the house through the back of the house, how did they get into the fenced-in area? And does this provide a better path forward that this was maybe a neighbor from a rental home or another home close by? And it's possible. And I think that theory, this 2 suspect theory, really is taking hold in this case. And we are revealing that there's a lot more going on. And then, of course, we're finding out that Chris Nanos, during these investigations, he's there. It is. That must be the Corvette. That must be the Corvette we're all talking about here coming up. And under fire, Nancy Guthrie sheriff takes more trips to the gym in his convertible than work visits as case grinds to a halt. That's not good. So there he is. The I don't know what this is. Garrulous? Am I pronouncing that right? Garrulous? Arizona sheriff who failed to find Savannah Guthrie's missing mother has been spending more time pumping iron at the gym than at his desk. The Post can exclusively reveal. Chris Nanos, the embattled lawman in Pima County leading the hunt for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, was spotted at his office just twice for a leisurely 7-hour-a-day between Friday and Tuesday this past week. Nancy, meanwhile, has been missing for 46 days, with Nanos and his deputies having yet to identify a suspect or otherwise meaningful lead in the elusive disappearance case. And here he is, the putz, heading to the gym. 70-year-old Dem, who was first endeared American with his tearful plea for help, only begins to contradict himself through public interviews as the case begins to languish. Hits the gym 4 times during the last 5-day period, the Post has learned. He has been seen cruising around out of his $850,000 manse in a gated community. Oh, his mansion. He must have an $850,000 mansion in a gated community on the outskirts of Tucson, and his flashy new model Corvette Stingray, white to match the color of his hair, for his roughly 90-minute workout. I wonder why this sheriff loves his job. Is it because he loves to be out there fighting crime, or all the benefits that got him into a mansion and driving around in a Corvette? What a shame. You guys have been robbed. You guys have been misled. I would be going after him for stealing funds, because every time he says he's at work when he's at a gym, those are funds being stolen from the Arizona people and the Pima County people. I would start building a fraud charge against him. Theft of employment funds are definitely, when you say but he gets I don't know if it'll matter because he gets a salary. I don't think he gets an hourly. So whether or not he's at work or not, or if he works 15-hour days or 5-hour days, he gets paid the same amount of money. So the floundering Democrat is under fire, under the microscope for his handling of the Guthrie case, including criticism that he's been sending the wrong message to the public about the case. He's also been panned for releasing Nancy Catalina Foothill home as a crime scene too quickly in the earlier days of her disappearance, using a private DNA analysis company instead of working closely with the FBI, and not deploying critical resources like search planes or cadaver sniffing dogs. I mean, the laundry list comes up. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. He's there to be the face of this. He won't even let his public information officer handle the public. He has to handle the public. He is a terrible person that appears to have, sociopathic and narcissistic tendencies. This man is a fraud. He's a fraud. He should have never been sheriff. His history would have prevented him from ever being sheriff, and he lied about it. And now he's driving around in a Corvette. He's getting a lofty retirement, and he's got a freaking almost $1 million mansion out there. This is the problem with our politics. We need to get our funds out of politics. We need statesmen back. I don't know who ever started thinking that it was okay to start paying our politicians. That has been the root of all of our evil. We need to get the people used to work for this country for the love of this country. They didn't need to be paid to direct the country for everybody to get fed here. And now all of a sudden they just take. Everybody does. I sent what I found to Miss Betty. Okay, let me see what we got here. It has not come in. It has not come in. So, sorry, hold on. Okay. Now, let's get back to my boo-boo. My boo-boo.
Surrounding Nancy's home. What is the latest? Tonight, we're also learning that this vacant home may have been used as a staging area for the kidnapper. Does that explain why we don't see the kidnapper entering or exiting from a vehicle? He's in no rush. The dog behind Nancy Guthrie's home goes crazy at 2 a.m. Is it because he didn't need a car because he has a staging area near Nancy's home in her very own neighborhood? Also tonight, the FBI focusing on pharmaceutical records that are similar to Nancy Guthrie's medication. All of this happening while we learn that the casting attempts failed, trying to get footprints or tracks outside the home. The FBI now apparently looking at electrostatic lift prints from inside the home. And what is nano?
So we've got some tread patterns on shoes. We're going to identify shoes, folks. We're going to be identifying shoes soon. So we're going to know what kind of shoes he has. We're going to know where they came from. We know where the gun holster comes from. We talked to some people about the where the gun holster is. The gun holster, apparently the way it was put in the front, it might interrupt the nads. It might interrupt the nads. And people were trying to say, well, that's why some people think it's a dude or a woman. I still think it's a woman. Our skills think it's a dude. I'm sorry. Everything I'm seeing is not woman. I see no breast. I see no breast. So unless you're planning on lopping off your breast, which maybe somebody could, but there's no breast. We don't even have, man boobs that you can see through the jacket. And I guess it does make it, I'm telling you, that's a dude. When you watch the way they walk from behind, you're going to be able to tell it's a dude. I like your fight. I stopped watching, not because you made me mad, just because you're a Republican. I don't care anymore. I like your fight. Thank you, Candy. Okay, Justin, I see you. Here we go.
Hey guys.
Okay. All right, where is this? This is from Brian Enton. When was this done? This was a month ago. Okay, so just to let you know, this is not a neighbor. This is Luke Daly. This is a month ago. So this was Luke Daly. Justin, just to let you know, I'm going to explain what you're looking at here. So this was when the 3 people were detained with Luke Daly. We've never identified who the other guy was that was there. So it was his mother, Mary, at the house with some other guy we heard that was detained. And she went over the neighbors, stayed the night at the neighbors. They processed the house. It said it failed to send, so I sent it. Well, I got it. I did get it, Justin. Thank you. So I'm explaining this. This is not new. This is not the neighbors behind them. This is Luke Daly. This is when they detained Luke Daly. They impounded his Range Rover, and the reason why I know this is because I'm looking. You sent me the right one, so I was able to look, and all the comments are from a month ago. So that tells me that this was from Luke Daly. Because this is the one he was out in front of. Now, we did have Carlos, but Carlos wasn't as big, and Carlos was more than a month ago. So I think this was from the Luke Daly. This is Luke Daly. So that's when they raided Luke Daly's house. I'm still not off Luke Daly. Could Luke Daly be part of a conspiracy? Yeah, he could be. But when we're talking about, possible construction workers or somebody renting a house behind Nancy Guthrie's home, this really does put this into perspective for me that they could have really set all of this up to be that close to her to carry this out. It's just crazy. You can bind females. I'm a female. I understand how everything works. But even that, I just don't believe it. I think it's too much of a stretch. I really do. I think it's too much of a stretch. I don't believe this person to be a female. I don't think this person has any factors that are attributed to female. I think quite opposite. I think that the body, the makeup, the clothing, everything out that front door appears to be male. Appears to be to me. But each of us we don't know who these people are. But look at this. At the end of the day, we've got footprints. We're going to be identifying. I can guarantee they most likely, because this is from their investigation over a month ago, so they most likely have already identified the footprints. So let's keep going. Let's just back up just a little bit.
Medication. All of this happening while we learn that the casting attempts failed, trying to get footprints or tracks outside the home. The FBI now apparently looking at electrostatic lift prints from inside the home. And what is Nanos doing during all of this? He's going to the gym. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories.
She is not happy.
Thank you for being with us. Allegations of misconduct and tampering with evidence.
Local politicians have just had their fill. They're embarrassed and humiliated with what Nanos has done.
Now, 3 accomplices may be at work. One vehicle in particular is taking center stage with the FBI search for Nancy Guthrie. It is a white vehicle. Straight out to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Dave Mack, it's curious. The Via Entrada is like a maze of streets and intersections surrounding, it's part of that anyway, surrounding Nancy Guthrie's home. What can you tell me about Pima County Sheriff's requesting now surveillance footage, anything neighbors may have of a vehicle? Tell me what you know.
Well, the law enforcement, we're talking the FBI and the Sheriff's Department, asking all of the homes in the area, if they have a camera pointed toward the street, to go back and get that video for the law enforcement, because they don't want it being recorded over. You're showing right there at 2:38 in the morning, we've got a...
Okay, let's be real. It's been almost 2 months. And now they're wanting people to go back and look for the film of cars going by their house 2 months later because they don't want it recorded over? I think they're going to find that that's going to be a uphill battle at this point, because most of these cameras have in fact been covered over. You know, something went wrong with my 4-year-old brother. Now they're saying Nancy Grace is there. Like that. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. We love Nancy Grace.
A car within 2.5 miles of Nancy Guthrie's home, seen on Ring camera. This is a shocker, because when the Sheriff's Department first put up their ring of area they were confident in was about 2 miles. This is at 2.5 miles, so they missed it. Now this is becoming a huge part of the investigation.
Of course it is. You have nanos running the investigation. You've been dumped. Been dumped by the kids. So we have nanos, out here running this investigation, and his crackpot team that has very limited experience in this world. They set up a perimeter entirely too small for that area. That should have been a 10 to 20 mile perimeter, period. At 10 mile, at least. Those houses were spread out far and wide. That should have been more, 5 to 10 miles. I'll backtrack, 5 to 10 miles. That should have been their initial radius, 5 to 10 miles in an area like that. Me, personally, I would have went 20 miles. 20 miles in an area like that. This is a desert area. People are on estate-sized lots. Rooster saying La Verga did it. We don't know who La Verga is. And I got El Verga, I think you said before. So now you're saying La Verga. So I'll write that down too. I'll look into that. We got Al Mencho being brought up before by another one of our audience members. They will change their mind when they get a little older. They all do. I'm just joking. But now they're starting to say, oh, wait a minute. We only did a 2-mile radius. Where do these people go? These people, like, I'm in awe at the just not thinking outside of the box, not playing the flippin' tape through. Like, this is what our investigators are supposed to be doing. Okay, to sit here and have novice and newsworthy people like Nancy Grace, and then social media coming in saying this ain't being done right. This is an embarrassment. When we, the public, know how to do this better than a freaking sheriff that lives in a mansion and drives around in a Corvette doesn't know how to do, that is an embarrassment to that entire community. This is a man that has used his career to make a profit, not to protect his citizens. And they're finally getting it. La verga means the cock in Spanish. Well, in part, if it was a single person, I might agree with the La verga angle then. That's not funny, but, just that. I don't know how to speak at this point. Bombastic, I think you got me speechless. Let's move on.
As law enforcement is trying to identify what type of vehicle it is and anything else they can find. So they're looking for any vehicles traveling along these roads that match up with this vehicle, trying to identify it, Nancy. And they're looking for every camera they can find.
Trying to find anything that will match up to this car. This was Mike Ruiz work here that you're looking at. This footage right here, and he put it out, and then Brian Enton picked it up, and then we picked it up, and it was and then people were kind of dismissing it, and I'm like, we can't dismiss this. I mean, if you look at the timing from when her pacemaker was disconnected and when this car passed this, you've got yourself pretty damn close within a matter of milliseconds of this car passing and believed to have passed this very location. This one vehicle could definitely be something of interest, and people were dismissing it, and now they're trying to find the path of travel of this very vehicle. That's poor leadership. That's poor policing. We should be thankful that we got the FBI out there and the FBI doing their ground search. I wish law enforcement around the country would take note. Okay, we understand you have jobs to do. You have other crime in your community, but you still have to work the cases. You can't let the cases go cold. Why is Summer Wells never had anybody door knocking and doing, groundwork and stuff like that like we get for Nancy Guthrie? Why is nobody doing that for Sebastian Rogers? We have kids that have been missing, that their parents most likely murdered them and hid their bodies, and we're not even getting a ground game for kids like we are for this grandmother. And while I'm not complaining, we'll take what we can get for any case we can get it for. And I'm not going to say, please stop doing it and send it to some other case. No, I'm not. The cases that get it, we're thankful that those are the cases are the ones that get it. We will work with what we can. But damn it, law enforcement can take note of what FBI is doing and start mimicking some of those behaviors to start getting some of these cases solved. And they're not. They're still sitting in their comfortable office with their fingers up their butt. You should tell any detective that's sitting in their office working that they're not going to get paid until they start getting out and doing their job, shoe leather detective work. You'll find out 90% of the people in those offices would be out working those cases on the roads. You would find that out real quickly. And you know what? You'll also find out cases being solved. Cases being solved. Cases are not being solved while detectives sit on their ass in their comfortable office. They don't get solved by having, your sheriff pull up in their Corvette to a gym. They're not solved at a gym. They're solved absolutely out in the field, searching areas. You're never going to get closer to finding the body unless you keep moving the needle out there in the field. So every time an officer decides to go and sit their ass down for 2 years, like Brandon Carter did for Sebastian Rogers, well, guess what? You've lost 2 years of ground game. So now if you started today, you're 10 times further behind. These people have no clue what they're doing. And we pay them to have no clue with what they're doing. Yeah, they get a few of them right. Yeah, that's easy to arrest non-sober drivers as drunks. Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that than actually solving a case. But we really need these cases, especially in Tennessee, to be solved. And it's stupid police work like this that foul up cases. Oh, we're just looking 2 miles. Why? Why would you only look 2 miles out? You have a crime scene. You want to get as much information in as possible. Organize it properly so you're working from this point out. These people are idiots. Just straight up idiots. They're being led. It's like the blind leading the blind of Pima County.
I'm going to go straight out to Scott Eicher joining us, a founding member of the FBI's. By the way, this video is from our friends at Fox News, the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey team, but also homicide investigator in Norfolk Police. Has worked so many missing people cases he can't count them, now at Precision Cellular Analysis. Scott Eicher, speaking of the car, I think it's very telling that Pima County Sheriff's is asking now for footage of vehicles in the neighborhood. And they asked for footage about a car the morning, 10 a.m., the morning of the kidnap. That would have been January 31. What do you think?
Before we hear his answer, I just want to put this out, and this is to law enforcement in general. If they're looking for a vehicle, them withholding it from the public, like we could find your vehicle. We would have you guys an address for a vehicle within 24 hours. They don't want, it's like, it's hitting our head against a hard surface. They're so adamant about not wanting the public's help when we could get them the answers in 24 hours. Yet it's going to take them a freaking month to do it the way they're doing it. It's just, it's so infuriating.
Well, this is the normal process of the investigation like this. You have breakout groups that are looking at different sections of the investigation. I'm sure there's one group of investigators that are saying, okay, we're going to concentrate on trying to identify this car seen going by the cactuses, and we got to start working on that. So they'll follow that path. They'll go out and talk to the neighbors. They'll help the neighbors access their cameras because, as we know, some people are not very good at accessing their film and their footage. They'll go to the businesses, and they're going to keep asking the public to provide anything they have that might help identify vehicles that were in that area at that.
Who believes that trying to identify vehicles almost 2 months in, like we're not quite to 60 days yet, but we're getting pretty stinking close to 60 days. By a show of ones and twos, let me get the question out. Don't start hitting buttons yet until I'm finished with my statement. Let me make sure we understand the statement first, okay? But don't you believe that searching the car's path now is a day late and a dollar short? 1 yes, 2 no. 1 yes, 2 no. Like at this point, like we'll leave it at that. I don't want to redo the question, but unless the vehicle had stolen license plates, well, even if they don't need stolen license plate because they don't record anything out in Arizona. They like to keep all their people in the dark, literally and figuratively, and just preyed upon. Like these people are just insanity to me. I just can't. I understand the being one of the earth. I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's like a day late, a dollar short, I mean, yeah, I get we're probably going to get somewhere. I mean, I get the twos, but this just seems to me like this is, 101, right? This is investigation 101. What the flip were they doing? Like, this is the crap that I am just crazed over. Like, this is the worst investigation that they thought of nothing on those beginning dates. I mean, they went back to look at the manholes. Like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? You guys didn't what did they investigate when they were there? That's what I would like to know. When they were there initially and they decided to scale back the investigation, what in the world did they actually investigate? Because to me, it looks like the investigation didn't even start until a week or 2 weeks after this poor lady was gone. And it seems to me, it does feel, but it's a cover-up of complete boneheaded It's not a cover-up of, in my opinion, of Nancy. It's a cover-up of their incompetence. They're not releasing this case, just like I predict, Sumner County refuses to release the case over to the FBI because it will be on a platform how poorly Sumner County investigated the case, and that's why they don't want to ever release these things. They don't want another department showing how shitty of a job they did. I think I'm just sick of it. And you know what I'm more sick of? I'm more sick of my federal government saying that we have no control. That at this ground level, we're stuck with a shitty sheriff, and there's nothing that we as the public or the family could ever do to move the needle or to force the sheriff to hand this over to somebody further up that could get the jobs solved. That's what irritates me the absolute most, is being told there's nothing that we can do about it. You'll know very, very quickly, I don't like being told I can't do something about it. Because by God, when I'm told I can't do something about it, well, within 5 years, we definitely can. And this might be one of those things that we're just going to have to start really shining a light on so we can start making some ways in, Sebastian's law. We need politicians to get on board with Sebastian's law, which puts the power back to some of the power back to us, at least to force a review from a higher up, from the FBI, where we can force the law enforcement bodies to send the case over for a referral, like for them just look over the case and say, hey, you didn't search this avenue, or you didn't search that avenue, or you didn't, something like that comes back down to the workers. So I feel like something can be done here. This is an area that we need as a public to focus on, because when we get into situations like this where we have Pima County, we can't even force his hand to turn this over to the FBI, but we can recall him. We can fire him, but we can't force the case out of his hands. That's awful. Why should any family, if we can prove incompetence, why should any family be forced to deal with the incompetence when their loved one's case is open? Why is there no mechanism when we have corrupted politicians or corrupted communities? We have no path forward to pull stuff out of corrupted communities, yet corruption has been a theme since the invention of America. Yet we have no laws for the public to prevent corruption or to work around it. We're about to celebrate 250 years on July 4th. I will be in Washington, D.C. If you guys are in Washington, D.C. to celebrate, please come and find me and take a picture of me, with me. Take a picture with me. I'd greatly appreciate that.
Time. We're doing the same thing with the cell phones, right? We're following cell phones. Hopefully we see a cell phone follow that same track as that car went from Nancy's neighborhood to that main street. Things like that will help us clue and piece it together.
That's significant. Straight out to Joe Scott Morgan joining us, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of a hit new series, Body Bags, with Joseph Scott Morgan. We're showing you some footage from our friends at Fox. Joe Scott, he just brought up something really interesting. Well, among many things. Tonight, focus on a vehicle, Joe Scott, at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. January 30.
I think this is important. And I think we're going to have to go back and listen to the neighbor's interview. Actually, maybe we'll bring up the neighbor's interview next. But if we find out that I think 10 a.m. is going to be interesting, because for whatever reason, I feel like the neighbor
alarm on, but I didn't.
Okay, let's go back to... Maybe she says a time? Okay, let's go back here. Did I forget to hit play? I guess I did.
On the outside, didn't seem to know, really.
Not anybody that I ever talked to about it. Yeah. No, yeah.
Did you know Savannah at all?
I did a bit in high school, but not super well since, high school. Because I'm considerably older than, well, not considerably, but I'm about 3 or 4 years older than Savannah. I knew her brother better.
Was there anything strange?
I'm just going to say this again for the new people coming into my chat. We're not getting involved in drama. This is not a drama channel. This is a true crime channel, okay? We're not getting involved in whatever is going out there on the streets. That has nothing to do with this show. It has nothing to do with me. We're not making any statements. We're not putting it in my chat. This is not something I'm getting on board with. We're not doing it. Okay, if you guys are here for Nancy Guthrie, please be here for Nancy Guthrie. If you're here to gossip, if you're here to throw shade on anyone in my chat, get out. This is not the place for it. This is not the time for it. I don't play these games. Okay, this is a true crime channel. I want to remind everybody that. We're not here for drama. We're not here for somebody else's bullshit. An 84-year-old grandmother was ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman, probably multiple. God knows what she went through. I don't have time for people's bullshit. Okay, or other drama. This is not going to be turned into anything to crucify somebody. I don't get down like that. I've never gotten down like that. I've tried to tell you guys that for years. We're not getting down like that. If that's what you guys want, find a different channel. We're here for Nancy Guthrie. We're here for victims of crime. We're here to help. We're not here to hurt. We're not here to break down. We're not here for anything. If you guys want my statement for it, go back to the beginning of the show. I made my one and done statement. And I just want to make sure if you're here and you come to the Bullhorn Betty channel, we're here for the victims. We're here to put bad guys behind bars. I'm not here for petty bullshit. I'm not here for other people's drama. I'm not here for everybody else's problems. I've got enough of my own problems. Okay, we're not doing it. So if you're here, you have been warned. We're not involving ourselves in it. Okay. The things that come to rise to my mind, I'm going to say this loud and clear once and one more time only. First of all, you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. And, this thing called karma is real. And those are the only things I plan on saying about the situation going on. This is not the place for it. We will put a stop to it. We're not getting involved. We're not getting involved. All right. Now that we are very clear on that, thank you for all being here that wants to be here for Nancy Guthrie. But at the end of the day, we're not getting involved. It's not my monkey, not my circus. Okay? And it's not your monkey and not your circus either. We don't know what happened. Passing around stuff one-sided is not fair to anybody, and we're not getting involved. God bless each and every one of you that are here for Nancy Guthrie.
In the neighborhood you noticed, like before this happened?
I did. About 2 weeks before, it was there. I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings, and I noticed this strange guy with his hat down really low. He was kind of hunched over, not in, walking.
Let me go back to that. What did she say? Let's listen to it.
I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings, and I noticed this strange guy with his hat down really low. He was kind of hunched over, not in, walking or hiking gear. He was dressed in kind of street clothing. So I thought that was weird because that's not normal.
And it stood out to you?
Oh, yeah. I said something to my husband and my mother. So, yeah.
And how often has something like that happened where it stood out to you enough to say something?
Not often at all. I see the same people. They're people I know, my friends. Yeah, so no. I think once, maybe 12 years ago, I saw a strange guy.
Did you tell the police?
I did. I told the FBI the day after they came here, and I discussed that with them. So this is my window that I'm getting ready.
Okay, so she didn't really identify a time, but I thought it was pretty interesting because, you know, I don't know her schedule, so I don't want to imply her schedule, but how odd would it be if what she's describing here is also around this 10 a.m. timeline that Nancy Grace is discussing on her... Oh no, I did do that. Hold on. I went right over Nancy. Hold on. I gotta pull Nancy Grace's segment back up. Put this lady over Nancy. I'm so sorry, Nancy. I didn't mean to take you off my screen. I love you, Nancy. I love you. You need to stop. We're a little crazy over the Nansters. We need to stop. Okay, we're back. Back, Jack. Okay, we're back, Jack. We're back. Sorry. Okay, so now we're back to what Nancy Grace has to say about this. You know, they're talking about what she just said. I backed up like several, you know, back spaces and stuff like that. But she's talking about this strange vehicle on the day in question, January 31st, talking about it being there earlier. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because January 11th. This comes to January 11th. January 11th, that neighbor that we were just talking about, this neighbor right here, she talks about seeing this strange person outside of her window right here. Okay, and she's talking about him having the hat down low, wearing street clothes, not in the clothes that her neighbors usually walk around the neighborhood walking their dog or just getting some exercise. This person was not in that neighborhood for that purpose. He was wearing street clothes, he had his hat down. She remembers all of this because her birthday is January 8th, and this happened several days after her birthday. So it was top of mind to her, and her remembrance of this was critical, but it was based upon a landmark, her birthday. That's how she remembered what day it was that she saw this individual, which correlated with that January 11th time frame. And the reason why it's interesting for this time frame is because we learned that darker image of the assailant without the backpack on, that dark, you know, there was black behind them, that they believe was done on January 11th as well. So now we have the assailant in the community earlier that day, and we also have him around her house that night, right? So you've got that day and that night on the 11th, and now we're hearing it's possible that this person was seen on the 31st that day, and then of course we know early morning hours that night seeping into February 1st is when the action, the abduction, the going into the home and removing Nancy Guthrie out of the house happened. So this is super, super important information that we're hearing here on the Nancy Grace Show.
Joe Scott, at 10 a.m., January 31, which tells me they believe the perp was in broad daylight, January 31. And before I lose the thought, Joe Scott, what Iker just said, remember in Alex Murdaugh's trial that you and I investigated ourselves?
Yeah.
We see Murdaugh's huge honking SUV traveling the night of the murders when he murdered Paul and Maggie, his wife.
I do want to remind you that she does make some critical errors here in the story, and the reason why is because I was living this, so I know exactly what happened in this story verbatim. So how this went out, let me just tell you, because she's gonna buff it up, but it's splitting hairs really. So they have the vehicle information on his vehicle, and it shows that he was driving at a significant rate of speed, and then he rolled his window down and slowed the vehicle down several miles. He didn't come to a stop. I think that's important to know. He never came to a stop, but he tossed the phone out the window. You can see that slowing down, and you can see the window going down. You can see the phone going out maybe they didn't have the window going down. I think they had the window even going down, if I'm not mistaken. I think they had the window going down. Either way, right where he slowed down at that spot is where they ultimately found Maggie's phone. So as if he threw it out the window, but he never fully came to a stop. So I think that that's important because she basically implies he came to a stop. Actually, she says he came to a stop. She didn't even imply, she said it, and he didn't. His car was still moving. It only slowed down several miles, enough for him to roll the window down and toss the phone. So,
wife and son with his cell phone,
I'll be right back.
Scratching off from the scene, and he had Maggie's cell phone with him.
Yep.
The info, the black box, so to speak, inside his SUV shows him stopping the car, lowering the passenger side window. That is where we find Maggie's cell phone thrown out the window, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So very often we see cell phones traveling with a car. And my point is that if we get a cell phone traveling with the car at 10 a.m., January 31, now we've got a cell number. Because even if the perp turned off his cell the night of the kidnapping, I guarantee you he didn't turn it off the morning of the kidnapping, 10 a.m. See where I'm going?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why would you? And again, this is another one of these benchmarks relative to benchmarking that immediate point in time. And this goes back to a theory that I've held on and that other people have held on to over the time. And that's the idea of casing this area. Just going back and making sure that everything is as they perceive it to be. Maybe taking one last glance at the area before they go in to do whatever it is that they're going to do, and assessing the area. I think that this is very, very critical piece of information, Nancy, because if they can tie that back to a suspect here, this is going to be critical moving forward with the case specifically.
And, the phone, we talked about these phones, right? The cell phones. We talked about the casing of the joint and these cell phones. And it was our determination earlier. This Murdaugh guy was crazy. He was. We did some stories on him. I actually went back to where the dog kennels were. I was on the Murdaugh property. I was able to go back there where Maggie and Paul lost their life. I had a very unique opportunity and I took it. It was one of those things. It was a calculated risk thing. I didn't have permission to be on the property, but somebody that knew the sheriff was out there and he wanted to get back there before it became a media circus. And I just happened to be there and I'm like, well, I'm following you, type of thing. And sure enough, we went back there, and got the information that we needed. But yeah, he was crazy. People allow power, they don't take power and use it positively. When people sometimes get power and they know they have the power, they use it to benefit themselves. And for themselves, it's just self-serving. It's so sad that this happens over and over and over again. Anyways.
On day one, Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, USPA Nationwide Security. Let me just say again, leading a team of investigators that do nothing but find missing people and extract them. Former Marine, Iraqi war vet, Fitzgibbons, day one, you and I said, car. You've got Brian Koberger cracked with a car. Yes, we hear about the DNA analysis, which was amazing, but it all started with a clerk at a gas station seeing his white Elantra speeding by around 4 a.m. the morning of the murders, right? And she gave that to police, and the alarm.
And I got to be honest with you. Somebody came in here, and I don't remember who it was, that said that they believe that this will be solved by a gas station, which is pretty interesting that they said that. And now Nancy Grace is saying that. But they said that in chat one time, and I can't remember who it was, but they said that something about the gas stations are going to solve this case, which is interesting. And some people, are more broader saying, it's going to be data that solves this case. And I think it's going to be forensic data, people. I think it's going to be a combination of forensic data and the people, if you ask me. I have fished under bridges where fatal boat crashes occurred. It's not that deep or wide at low tide. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Alarm went out to all law enforcement, including campus police, about a white Elantra. A campus cop at WSU, Washington State University, says, oh, who's registered on campus for a parking spot with a white Elantra? Oh, Brian Koberger. That's where his name came from, because of his car. And then I like to use the case of glam yoga instructor Caitlin Armstrong. She murdered her love rival, a world-class dirt bike champion, because of over a man. Really? And her SUV is seen circling and circling and circling the murder scene. And then, of course, there's Molly Tibbetts. She goes out for a jog after studying all afternoon. And over, there she is. There's Molly. And this guy keeps approaching her because of distinctive markings on his vehicle. He's tracked through a vehicle. Day one, Fitzgibbons, we said car. And I'm not giving you or myself a pat on the back. I'm saying if this is the car at 10 a.m. Jan 31 that they're interested in, jackpot, maybe.
Yeah, and hey, you can go to great lengths to hide a cell phone. You could not take it. You could put it in airplane mode. It could be in a Faraday bag to try to keep Scott Eicher from finding you. But you can't hide a car. You can't hide a vehicle. So the hope is that if we can identify this vehicle and start to piece together some of the video evidence from the surrounding area. And, experts on this case have gone to great lengths, including Douglas McGregor, who's been on this show, to map out the potential avenues of egress from Mrs. Guthrie's home. So that's got to be the focus, is getting the description of that vehicle and trying to find some video evidence of it to tie it back to an owner.
It's been very upsetting with me about this vehicle because, let's face it, it was a lot of work that went into trying to identify Brian Koberger, and we had so much more information to go off with, even though we didn't have a whole lot. But we had a white Elantra, and that had to have garnered a lot. It garnered the right tip and lead. Okay, people were able to turn that stuff in. That convenience store worker going back through her footage that night to see if she could see anything. How smart that was to do, and it landed pay dirt. It showed a very clear vehicle passing her business at a high rate of speed. That was very important in all of this. Would the car ping also? The answer is yes, depending on the type of car. I think anything before 2005 may not, but I think that they're from 2000. I think it may be a little higher than that. It might be like 2007, 2008 when they started getting the Bluetooth technology in there. We got the infotainment centers coming in around, I think, 2009, 2010. So anything with those infotainment centers or anything with the computers, the cars that had the computers in them, because everybody's car, that's what tells you about the sensory issues. If your car's misfiring, it puts that little, engine marker up there. Those are things that are monitoring your vehicle all the time. Those have been in your car for a little bit of time, but they weren't very technologically advanced. Nowadays, your car tells everything, okay? Your cars didn't once tell everything. You had to look for photos and stuff, but once you get the right car, it tells it, especially newer vehicles, 2010 and above. Your car's tattling on you. Your car can speak, okay? Once upon a time, our vehicles could not speak. Our vehicles speak. Yeah, our vehicles are like a plane, theoretically. Like, we have a black box, okay? I don't care what anybody says. There's a black box in all of our cars, okay? So when they find that black box, they know everything that happened, okay? I'm just saying. They know where you went, what you did, if you hit a bump, they know it all.
Okay, Scott Eicher, how do you trace a car? Once we have the picture, if we get the picture at 10 a.m., they've got to have a reason that they're saying 10 a.m. the morning of the kidnap. Jan 31, she's kidnapped. Go through the clock the next morning around 2 a.m. Why are they saying 10 a.m. Jan 31? They've got to have a reason for saying that.
Exactly.
Was there an eyewitness? Remember, early on, a neighbor said they had seen a strange car that didn't belong to anybody sitting out on the street for an extended period of time near Nancy's home. Is it that car? Are we
Did we hear about a car or did we hear about a van? Because I heard of a white van. I haven't heard of any other unknown vehicle. I mean, well, let me back this up. Let me preface this. Because we heard of a blue Malibu. We heard about a blue Malibu. Our channel identified a gray SUV because Carlos and Luke both had gray SUVs with pointy front ends on those gray SUVs. And so we think that they were looking at least for a light colored SUV with Carlos and Luke being caught up in that net. Are they innocent? Are they guilty? Do they know one another? Were they part of this? What if now that we're looking at this being multiple people, right? Could Luke and Carlos be connected somehow? A gray truck. Oh, we did hear about a pickup truck. That's right. We can't forget about a pickup truck. I remember hearing about a pickup truck. I don't remember the color of it, in all fairness, YouTuber, but I do remember we did hear about a pickup truck. So we heard about a pickup truck, a white van. I identified the gray SUV. That was never brought up by any local law enforcement, Nancy Grace, or anybody else. It's just, that was my deduction from looking at the impounds of Carlos and Luke Daly, gray SUVs. So yeah, car, truck, van. We're hearing all the types of vehicles. So what type of car are we looking for exactly? That's kind of where I'm at. She's saying car, but people call SUVs car. I call an SUV a truck. So I mean, just that it's really who says. I don't know why I call it a truck, but I call it my vehicle. And people are like, who says vehicle? I say vehicle all the time because I don't know what to call these things anymore. Okay. That we've got so many names for vehicles now. I just call it a vehicle, right? We got cars, crossovers, SUVs, mid-size truck, full-size trucks. I mean, like vans, minivans. It's like what vehicle, okay? Vehicle. It keeps me out of the proverbial hot water. Was a white truck, gray SUV. We've been hearing a lot. When they arrested Carlos at the beginning, people were suspecting it was the 63 Impala with hydraulics, huh? Now, that nobody's going to gank a grandma with an Impala. With hydraulics. That would be the most obvious vehicle in the whole world. I can tell you that if a car goes into the Catalina foothills on hydraulics, people will absolutely recognize that vehicle. Hands down. You should call it Car My Way, Betty. You should call it a Car My Way, Betty. Yeah. I don't know. You'd never know. They could come back into focus. Carlos, Luke later in the. I believe that. They haven't thrown them out, and I'm telling you, there's something wrong with his right hand being injured. We heard the assailant would have a right hand injury. I'm sorry, hearing that it's potential for the assailant to have a right hand injury, and then see a guy giving an interview with a right hand injury. I'm telling you, I have not since that moment. Luke Daly is still my biggest, my person of interest right now. He is the rising star of persons of interest. I'm sure I'm probably completely off base, but the hand, and I'm not lying. What is making him come to the top for me? But it's the hand. I say it. It's the hand. It's the hand because somebody called my show before we saw Luke Daly's hands and say, hey, we believe based upon the movements of this guy, it looks like he has a hurt right hand. Okay, I dismissed it. I figured anybody can see a hurt right hand. And then lo and behold, he just had to do an interview. And guess what he has? A hurt right hand, a very visibly hurt right hand. And that was like the proverbial bell's just going, woo, 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 like in the head. And, got the proverbial lights above your head going, woo, 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 woo. That's what happened with Luke Daly. And I'm like, okay, you're coming off the shelf today, right? You're coming back down here. You're going to come hang out with Betty for a little bit. And so we started going down the Luke Avenue, and I'm still, even though I've stepped away because I've said everything I'm going to say about Luke Daly. We don't know if it's him. I feel bad if I'm clubbing a guy, an innocent guy, over the head. So I'm just going to say my piece about him and send him back up on the shelf until something else comes back. And if something else comes back, if we have to pull Luke Daly off that shelf again, he's staying off the shelf. We're going to start talking and going a little bit deeper. He seems very suspicious to me. I will not lie. Luke Daly is definitely one of those names that I haven't quite gotten away from yet, and I don't perceive myself getting away from him. Not until he is on my short list. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, how did he get involved? Could this be the construction workers or the people renting the house behind Nancy Guthrie's? It's possible, but we were hearing about it, but we don't have really any information. Like, none of the neighbors have come forward and said, yeah, we recognize these people. These people were in our community and they drove XYZ vehicles. Like, I would like the neighbors to start telling us what these renters were driving. If they're hitting all the boxes with all the vehicles that we've been hearing about, well, we got winner chicken dinner all day long now it's time to identify these suspects, these people that were in that house. This is going to be very interesting.
Finally tying something together tonight. So let's just pretend, for argument's sake, it is the car. They've got a time. They have a time. They must know about a car. So how do we track it?
Well, there's several different ways. One, we've talked about the videos, and they've got to really push that to get that from all the neighbors, all the businesses. Two is looking at the cell phones embedded in cars. If it's a newer type vehicle, we can narrow that down through the tower dumps of that area, identifying the type of cars that are there. Hopefully it will match the types of cars. And then we can track those cars and the cell phones that are traveling with those cars at those specific times. So that would help us get to those points of hopefully identifying who that is and what kind of car they were in, and then where they went to after they were in the area around the time of the abduction.
So here's another question out to you, Joseph Scott Morgan. Can they trace the car's movements? Which way was it going? Does it match potentially one of the cars caught 2.5 miles away the night of the kidnapping that we see on video? Is it one of those cars? Can we connect that? Can we connect it to the car that's been sitting out in the neighborhood surveilling? Can we connect it to the car that was spotted at a gas station, 7-Eleven type store that night? I mean, there's cars out the yin-yang. A white vehicle was spotted on ring cam 7 minutes away from Nancy's home. Are the pieces of the puzzle finally fitting together?
Okay, so somebody's asking for those. Yes, we can bring those up. Let me look for those while I don't like showing my screen too much. Yes, we can. Give me just a second. Let me get to where we need to look for those, and I know we have it. Somebody sent me more than this, so I'll have to find those, but these are the ones this is just kind of the brief one right here. I think I've got them down in the chat, but okay. So this is what they're referring to. As you see in the back here, you see this is where they're isolating the imagery. And then they're taking this, they're putting a square around this area here, and then they're blowing it up. And then they're taking filters like your whites and your shadows and your darks and your hues, and they start modifying those settings on the photo. And what happens is when you start messing with the shadows and the darks and the lights and the hues and stuff, you can start playing with them in a way that starts bringing a darker image or something that's hidden in the shadows to light, depending on how you expose that image. And now digitally, you can do a lot with the settings behind the scenes, making and changing, the shadows and enhancing the shadows to bring that up. Hey, Unicorn, it's nice to see you. I think I got, let me just, I did get something from you. Let me read that real quick. And then we'll go back. Oh, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Did I see? I thought I saw a text. Did I see a text? Oh, it was a voicemail. Okay, hold on here. So you're basically saying that, oh, this is about the conversation that we had yesterday about the DCF. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Okay. I thought that had something to do with here, but I'm reading it now and it's about the DCS. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that with me. Yes, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. So for the person that wanted the vehicle, here it is right here. Here's what's back here in the shadows. You see those little shading right here. You see that reflection right there. When they isolate that reflection, this is the reflection you're seeing out there in the out here. See this reflection right here. You very, very rarely see it. It looks like a little white line there. Tori, it was great meeting you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Tori. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. So now we see this is the line that we're seeing all the way back there, and this is enhanced. And as you see, it does look like a vehicle. It does look like a vehicle. Some people say that they believe that this is a blue Kia, or excuse me, hold on. A Malibu, a blue Malibu blue. I think it was a Malibu. I remember reading it when I first came here. I was looking for it, and it said, I'm pretty sure it was a blue Malibu. I think is what we said. So there's a blue Malibu somewhere that came into this, and I think the blue Malibu was when there was somebody screaming, and Chris Nano says that it was a domestic violence situation. They found it. It does look like a darker car, but see, the problem is you can't really tell because this is the elusiveness of night vision cameras, is that, something black could look black, but it could also look white depending it, a red could look like a light color, like the ski mask on his head that looks light, like a light color, that could be an orange. That could be a bright orange, and it's just the way the camera is taking that information. So this car could be a dark car, but it also could be a gray car. It could be a blue car. It could be, you really don't, it's hard to tell with the night vision without knowing what the night vision camera that was used. We do have an idea it's a Nest camera. We don't know what model, but we have to think that it has the same advances. So there might be some way to reverse engineer this. I'm not the one. I don't have the brain cells. I'm an average Joe. I'm not an engineer, okay? Just to let you know. So we have engineer minds in here, and you guys might know how to reverse engineer to see colors. I know that some people have been able to do it. I don't know if I trust it because I don't know whether it's accurate or not, but we have had some people reverse engineer some of these, and they've been able to try to get some color, like even Nancy Grace brought up that image under the little peak that we could see, and it looks like it's potentially somebody with a hat, like a cowboy hat there. Maybe it's something like that, but we don't know. What type of car was wrecked at Luke's house? I don't know. I think wasn't it a Honda or something like that? I don't know. I don't know if I ever heard. I feel like I did. I feel like it was brought up. Like I was watching JLR's video out there because I remember how I didn't watch him very much, but when I didn't have a whole lot to talk to and there was a lot of moving parts, I was listening to it as much as I could anyways. And I could have sworn, because I remember when I was watching, there was people bringing him a chair and they were talking about how Luke's car was being towed, and he looked at him and he's like, Luke's car's being towed? Oh my gosh! And he just decides to jet off out of there, and everybody's following him and they're going over to Luke's house. Well, the car was already gone. And I remember that because I thought that it was being impounded to check it. And then I found out like 24 hours later that it was State Farm taking the car because they've either paid Luke for the car and totaled the car out, or they were taking it to their shop to repair it. Either way, it was the insurance company that towed the vehicle. But I remember that because I actually was online at that time when all of that happened, and I could have sworn they did say what type of car it was while standing out in front of that house, but I don't remember what it was. And the reason I went through this long dissertation is because for those that remember what day that he did that, you guys might be able to go back and find that out for yourself and report back to us. I'm not going to do it. It's not that important to me. I don't think that car was used in the commission of abducting Nancy Guthrie because it was already out of commission before she disappeared. That was confirmed. So that's all I really care about. But what type, I think they did mention it, but I don't remember what it was, personally speaking.
Regarding a vehicle, because now we know, Joe Scott, they're looking at a specific vehicle. We think it's a white vehicle. The morning she's taken, they're zeroing in on that, Joe Scott. What else is your analysis?
Well, going to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Eicher, I think that the most critical bit to this is trying to get that videography from all these other locations, and they can kind of create what I would call a mosaic.
So let me get back here.
Videography from all these other.
See, I'm sorry. There's just something back here that makes me feel like this is a man. Okay, I know we can't tell from the front. But this, I'm sorry, it looks like a man to me. It looks like a man to me, okay? The shoes are big. Even tall women, they do have sometimes bigger feet, but these are big feet, in my opinion. Those are pretty big hands, in my opinion. This is a pretty big rear end, and I get that there are some manly women out there that could probably fit this bill, but in all reality, I really do believe that we're looking at a man here, not a female.
Other locations, and they can kind of create
look how they're walking.
What I would call a mosaic.
I mean, there's this one spot where they walk, and you can kind of see the Franken beans.
Geography from all these other locations,
right?
And they can kind of
right
create
here, right there. That step right there. Look at that step. That's a Franken bean step. Okay, that's a Franken bean step. Big solid thighs. That's a Franken bean step right there. This right here, this bending of a knee, giving some gaping here. This is a man step right here. This is Franken bean step. Okay, I get that you guys. What if my back said that looks like a female's ass? Maybe he's. Maybe, I don't think so. But that right there is telling me this is a Franken bean step, okay? I'm sorry. They just walk differently. I know we all want to say we walk, but have you seen a man and woman walking side by side? They walk a little differently. Why? Because one has an innie and one has an outie. That's why they walk different. Some look like they're walking with some junk, because they are. And mostly the people that walk with the junk are usually men, okay? The only time women walk a little weird is when their thighs are rubbing together. Okay, they got big old thighs, and they have to walk a little weird because their thighs. And in all fairness, women store fat in weird places. Okay, they just do. I feel bad for the people that have some weird fat deposited in areas, because it just is what it is. There can be a woman that has a smaller waist than me that has a freaking thighs the size of my waist, okay? And I've seen them. They have these tiny little tops, and then it goes whoop down it, like they sit, like their tiny little self is sitting on the shelf, you know? So, I mean, the only time I see a woman walking like a man is when they have huge thighs, and they don't have any real choice but to kind of spread and walk a little bit, okay? But we're not seeing these thigh issues here with this, but we're seeing a manly walk. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, there's some franken beans there. So if you guys are wondering, I know you guys keep asking about it, and I keep talking about it with the franken beans, but I thought I would kind of, but this right here, this step right here is saying we got some balls that we need to not squish. Otherwise, the step would have been a lot closer to the leg, okay? I'm sorry. Women just, they don't walk like they're not walking like this. Okay? I'm just saying, didn't you guys ever hear the thing? Good girls sit like this. What is it? Girls sit like this. Good girls sit like this. The girls that sit like this, right? So we guys get it, right? We guys get it. Okay. Now that we're done being kindergartners, now that we're done feeling like we're smarter than a fifth grader. Okay, Betty, as a date chick, I can say with authority that's not a chunky chick's butt. There we go. Okay, there we go. It's not a chunky chick's butt. Okay, we got the professional. Okay, we got the professional. That's why I think it's a guy. So I just wanted to point it out. So there was no mistakes.
What I would call a mosaic of this imagery of the car moving past, moving forward, going about. And also, if they are able, because you had mentioned earlier about the cell phone, if this thing is pinging in there and they're capturing this, particularly in the approximately 10 a.m. run that you're talking about, if they can zero that in, then you've got 2 points of connectivity at that moment in time. Where is this thing moving to? Can you see it moving in front of other cameras? And also out and about.
We have to remember Brian Kohberger went to the scene of the crime before his actions 11 times. And then he was there for the night, and then he came back the next day. 11 times before. 11 times before. We're calculating right now 2 to 4 times, because I don't think he stuck around all day. So if he was there in the morning, he came back at night. So we've got 2 trips in one day. What about the 24th? Was it the same thing? And when was the house rented behind them? And why is everybody so tight-lipped about this rental behind Nancy Guthrie's house? Why are we not hearing more about that from law enforcement? Those are some questions that we truly do have.
Out away from this kind of, as it's been described, this maze in this neighborhood. Is there anything out on the periphery they've been able to piece together from local businesses that is going to match this up? I think that's going to be critical. I'm very interested still with this area that is adjacent to the construction area that was there and this unoccupied home. I want to know, has that car ever settled there? Has it stopped? Has it paused? Because you're looking at a couple of locations where it could have paused. So where is the interest here? You know, going back to this idea of the profile of the individual, where are they vested time-wise? Where are they vested location-wise? And that's going to be a big part of this thread, Nancy.
And why can't they look at the Google Trends? Why can't they get with Google Trends and find out who entered that address? Why can't they get with Google and find out what account entered the address for Nancy's home on January 11th? It didn't seem like it was a huge number of people putting her address into their cell phones on January 11th. So who put her address in their cell phone on January 11th that registered on Google? Wouldn't Google have that URL? Wouldn't Google have that that ID number? What is it called? Why am I running a blank today? You know, your special number. I don't know what the hell it's called. What I'm on right now with my computer. You guys know what I'm saying. That special number. Someone knows not only that, but we're identifying that this must have been multiple people. Hey, Smiley Stories World. It's nice to see you, love. It sounds to me like multiple people are involved in this, and the chances of being able to keep this under wraps with multiple people are involved are very few and far between. Somebody's telling their mama, their girlfriend, getting drunk. There's somebody. That's why you don't really work with a whole bunch of people, because somebody, IP number there. Thank you, Oma. There's something that, people just don't do well. It takes a lot to keep a lot in. Now, this does concern me because I am kind of feeling like we do have a theory that this is probably a construction worker, construction team, maybe somebody that's, and there's a lot of construction teams that are brought into areas to do building, road work, and everything else that aren't from that area. They're only shipped in to work. So somebody recognizes what's going on. I believe if he was there on the 11th with the same outfit that he wore on the night in question, then there's a few things that can be had. One, I absolutely believe his outfit is contaminated with a whole bunch of DNA and touch DNA that can be transfer stuff from one area to another. I believe in that. That's what that says. But it also says that he was prepared. He only brought one outfit for this job. That's what it tells me. He only bought one outfit for this job. This outfit was specifically for this job, and as soon as this job was over, that outfit was going to be destroyed. Everything that he was wearing, he was planning on destroying. How do I know that? Because he wore the exact same thing over multiple days when visiting this location. So that he didn't want to waste any more clothes, any more socks, any more shoes, any more leggings. He wanted to make sure whatever he went there with, that's the outfit he's going to use. And as soon as he's done, that entire outfit is going to be gone and gone for forever. So I anticipate this man probably burning this stuff, taking this someplace where nobody would know and burying it somewhere. But whatever he had on his persons, down to his socks, the gloves, the box of gloves, everything that was used, this man will not keep any of that, including that handgun. I don't believe that handgun will be kept by this assailant, but it's possible, if this is a jitterbug, that they're going to keep that gun. If they're smart, they're going to get rid of that gun. So it really depends on what type of assailant we're dealing with in this particular case. So, oops.
Warning about a type of real estate fraud. Nightmare. Hey. At home alerts, and if you are a victim of...
Okay, we love you, but...
See equity. That's HometitleLock.com. Promo code Nancy, or just use the link below, and good luck. Dave Mack, specifically, we understand the feds are interested in vehicles along Via Entrada. Where is Via Entrada? What is it?
It's the main residential road entering the neighborhood where Nancy Guthrie lives. It is referred to...
The main road. The main road. I'm going to woosah.
As a maze-like road. It serves as the main residential road into the Catalina Foothills neighborhood. And you mentioned this earlier. It forms part of a maze-like residential area that is poorly lit at night. That comes into play. You have to know the roads and where you're going at night to be able to function in.
That's what makes us know that this person is either working in here in this specific area heavily, or they live in this specific area. Because of this maze-like effect. Look at this. Is the worst planning I've ever seen. Whoever their community planner, like this is totally like this poor management and leadership has been going on for literally decades. Okay. This is the worst. I deal with, I go to my county meetings. I'm part of our planning. I'm part of our the design of our community and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, this maze that they've got back here is the worst designed road system I have ever seen in my life. Period. it will take them centuries to get this worked out. They're going to have to tear down properties. They're going to have to do eminent domain. They're going to end up having to really fix this area up at some time in the future. This is piss poor planning. This is just hodgepodge. Oh, well, we can fit it here. Okay, we'll fit it there, type of thing. This right here is so confusing. I don't know who thought this was okay. This is piss poor. This is piss poor. Piss poor. Nobody had a future ever in mind for this area.
This area along Via Entrada.
So once we have a date, once we have a time, 10 a.m., we can go from there. And Scott Eicher, wouldn't it be possible if we're going with a white car, 10 a.m., Jan 31, to try, I'm sure you recall the Fotis Dulos case, Jennifer Dulos, Connecticut Mama 5, body never found. The law enforcement there in Connecticut put together an incredible video montage from businesses, homes, even at one point a public bus opened up and you see the perp driving by, tracking his movements. I've got a time, I've got a potential vehicle, I've got a street. Isn't it possible now to look at the cams, look at Wi-Fi along the routes and see where the car went? I know it's going to be difficult, but is it possible?
It is difficult, and there's a lot of different databases we can pull from. One is the videos from the area, as you mentioned, the choke points coming from that point. Where would a car have to go from that point to get to other areas? The main avenues, the stoplights, the business cameras is all important stuff. But when we look at the cellular aspect of it, we can look at Google, we can look at Facebook, we can look at just tower dumps. Same stuff. We do another tower dump in that area because it's going to be possibly different towers than the used around Miss Guthrie's residence. And we see, all right, is that those devices in that tower dump also in Nancy Guthrie's area tower dump? So now we put that same device in two important areas. That helps us a lot to try to narrow down the amount of different devices that we have to sort through to figure out which ones are important.
Yeah, because you got to remember, guys, this is a residential area, and no matter how you look at it, even the cast, it's difficult because when they do the cast, it's picking up all those signals. So if you have a house of a mom, dad, and two teenagers, every house is 4 signals, right? 4 signals, and they have to identify them and they have to exclude them. And so you're looking out, like, say, 2.5 miles. You're talking about thousands of devices. So you really have to, hopefully they're not looking out that far. They're just looking out in and around this community. We know that they were there. But if they're planning like they say they are, I don't anticipate that they remember to turn their phones off during their planning or visiting this area. I think that that's going to be the best evidence we're going to find is the earlier evidence, because the earlier evidence, they weren't taking all the precautions that they would be taking the night of this event. So the January 11th, that cast, that pool, that cast pool would be something I would be personally very interested in, especially in the mornings and in the evenings of that. I believe that the dry run in the evening, they would have went through all of the protocols that they would have done the night of the abduction. So I believe that even that night, they would not have the phones or the phone services on them at night. So I think that they're really looking at that morning time frame on the 11th and the 31st. If they were there in the morning, they may not have thought to turn their phones off in the morning because they weren't doing anything illegal at that time. So I think those are going to be the best times to start really looking at that data to try to identify phone numbers, at least phone numbers at those 2 points. If we can find the same either cars or data signal points that are similar, then we might be able to find those, to track those, where those points ended up going and what they were discussing and stuff like that. Now, we also have to remember that if this was planned, them using or potentially using burner phones, those are still a thing. Burner phones are not like what they used to be, because even the burner phones now, you have to use a credit card to put minutes on your phone, or you have to go and purchase a gift card or a cash card to upload for your phone. But all of those things, believe it or not, are recorded. You can't really go into any store and purchase any of this stuff without being on camera and having a receipt. Even paying for cash is no way this day and age to hide yourself. So we're being tracked by our government, very, and granted, until we break a law, they're not looking into tracking us, but they are tracking us for when that time does come. And so that's why I my common sense kind of overrides my bullshit, detector, because you hear these things like with the photos of this assailant out her front door and then hearing the jammer. Well, we said before we realized that the jammer wasn't used, this doesn't really make sense to us, because if he was using a jammer, how in the world did he get his face? And then, of course, we went down the avenue of maybe it was the Wi-Fi jammer, and because it was hooked up by Bluetooth, it didn't jam the signal. But we don't know that to be the fact, the case. It seems like a signal jammer would jam all signals, even Bluetooth. So I think we diffused that signal jammer as a possibility quite a while ago. But we did find it interesting to have a utility box that appeared to have been damaged, and some neighbors in the area talking about their signal being down that night around the time that Nancy Guthrie was being taken out of her home. It does appear that we are dealing with multiple individuals here versus just a single person. Potentially, it seems like everything lines up that this is a concerted action or conspiracy with multiple people, which has been brought up before, and we just didn't really have a whole lot to go with it. Yeah, it was a theory. We did talk about the theory, but other than that, I'm ignorant to, stuff, multiple people stuff, because we don't deal with, conspiracies and concerted actions of ripping grandmas out of beds. Okay, this is, I don't know about you, but this is a first for me. And we don't do a whole lot of gang type of stories on here, because they don't really defy logic very much. So until a gang story defies logic, it most likely would not be on the Bullhorn Betty channel. So we don't really have the mindset or the experience to deal with gang type of, which I'm not saying this is a gang type of crime. I'm just saying that it has more of the hallmarks of the concerted conspiracy, like what we're used to seeing in maybe gang crimes or cartel crimes or something like that. So this is really starting to now twist and turn to some of those earlier people that were talking about this, but nothing really supported that angle. Well, now we're starting to come to the point where there is some things that are starting to support those angles. So now we're going to be moving some of those things off the shelf and start diving into those topics of conversations, because we have something that we can talk about now. These are starting to pan out as being true. Now we can start going down that lens of, who could have done this? What type of are we still looking for maybe a service company? Like, this is what I kind of see. I feel like this might be two people on the same work truck together that is driving through this neighborhood, and day after day they're talking about all the money these people have and how they'd like some, right? And then they probably saw or may even have went to the local El Charro's restaurant to eat. And then they realized, holy smokes, this lady lives in this community that we're always working in. Maybe that's what started the wheels turning. And then every day they're just working with each other and talking about this rich lady that probably has a lot of stuff. Maybe that started boiling over into, really planning out an abduction for profit. But no matter how much I try to get that to fit in, it still seems so cinematic. It seems so fictional. It doesn't seem it still doesn't fit. To me, it still doesn't fit. There's something more here. I feel like it was a hit. I feel like these people were paid to go in there and get this woman and kill her. And I think the reason why they took her with them is because they had to prove she was dead. And I don't know. I just don't believe. I believe if they were going in there for money or jewelry or whatever, they would have beat this lady to a pulp, left her body there, and robbed her blind. Okay? This is not, I'm not getting anything else logically in my brain that fits better than this hit. Especially now that we have multiple people involved. Nothing was stolen from that house. We can't confirm any ransom note to be authored by these people that went in their house. Well, then why the hell would they go in that house? There's only one other reason why they would go into the house. If they weren't going in there for money or stuff, it was to take this lady out. And they wanted to put it up in a neat bow and make sure nobody knew what happened to her. Nobody could prove a damn thing. That does sound like this is a hit. So if this was a hit, who would want her dead? Now, this is going to go back to a lot of people's perspective of Annie and Tommaso. I really don't believe, even with this hit, that it was them. I'm sorry, guys. I've never gotten on board with Tommaso and Annie. I know that you guys have, and you guys have always been trying to you guys have been beating me up to get on board with it, and I just haven't really. I mean, we discussed it, and I thought I discussed it thoroughly with you guys, and took my own bias away that I didn't think it was them, and we did discuss it thoroughly. And in my opinion, I think we discussed it thoroughly. When I expressed to you guys, it's hard for me to thoroughly discuss an angle that I'm not bought into, you know. So it's hard for me to beat up Tommaso when I don't believe he did it, right? So I always felt that this was something that we didn't know what we were dealing with, and I think those vague statements I said at the very beginning of this case really are starting to come around and starting to hold water. You know, this is going to be somebody that we weren't looking at. These were all the statements I made up front, that this is going to be, this is going to be shocking when we get to the end of this case. It's going to be shocking what we learn about this case. I believe those. As vague as those statements were, I believed them then, and I still believe them now. And I keep trying. Kidnapping or hit is smash and grab and go, not 41 minutes. That's it. That's it, not 41 minutes. It seems like they came in to execute this lady and they wanted to clean up a mess. You know, they didn't want the world. And this is typical of hired hits, right? You know, do you want them to look like an accident? No, I just want them gone off the face of the earth. And, you know, this might be one of those things where they went in there, did what they needed to do. They took her out, and this is as clean as it's going to get. You know, these people look like dumbasses, but dumbasses can still get a job done well, you know? And I think that's proof of this. Is this high elite hit squad? No, I don't think so, but I do believe they've done this before. Their behaviors are they've done this before. So, thank you, Kara. Kara. Sorry, I have a bad way of pronunciating names. Must have had a huge vendetta against her, stalked her but it not necessarily them. I mean, if they're a hit squad and they're being paid, you know, $20,000-$30,000 to execute this lady and get her gone, then it's a huge vendetta of somebody. But who is that? Who is that? And it comes back to those searches. You know, we did the Google Trends, and those go all the way back to the mid 2025 when she first started opening up about Mark Orchard, her ex-husband. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep bringing that up. You know, you guys know I'm fixated on Luke. I don't know what's going on with this case, and now I'm bringing in her ex-husband, Mark Orchard, and we do not have anything on him at all, you know, to say that he did this or anything. So I'm not accusing him of doing anything. I'm just saying we're not scrutinizing him enough. In my opinion, we're not scrutinizing Savannah's ex-husband enough. And we should be, you know, we should be scrutinizing him because we're post Monique and Spencer Tepe. where Monique's husband, after 8 years of them being divorced, he was out of sight, out of mind, never even barely thought about by Monique. And he's the one that broke into her house and killed her and her husband, leaving 2 beautiful children orphaned. And then it's sad to say that I'm hearing that their family home is being sold. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. So there's something with that I feel like her being removed from the house was part of the orders. Because if it was just truly going in there and doing a hit, it would have been done and over with. But we saw that backpack full of something. What was it full of? A tarp to keep the blood down, and they probably did, and that's probably why only drips of blood were through the house. Because they had her, it was just what was seeping out of their disposal method, the way they were getting her out of the house. If you guys have been watching me for a while, no matter how this twist and turns of this case have happened, I have maintained from the very beginning, I believe she was dead or dying when she left that house. This being a hit has been something that I've speculated for quite some time now. We just don't keep beating a dead horse. We go over what's being, spoke about in the case, and we just see, which ones start holding water. Because when I start out with a case, I have usually 5, 6 or more theories about a case. And as information comes forward, some of those theories just naturally fall off because there's no way that this factual information could produce this as the result. So those naturally just go away. Those theories just fall off organically. And then as you're going through the case, your theories start falling off organically until you're left with just a few theories left of what could it possibly be. And I think that's kind of where we are. We're still have a lot of different things here that we're looking at to try to navigate this, the main question of what happened to Nancy Guthrie and where is she? And then you start seeing things take hold. Like at the beginning with everything going on, we weren't really in tune with this, multiple suspect theory. But now here we are all these days later, these weeks later, now we're starting to discuss this multiple suspect theory, which was brought up earlier in the case without a doubt. It's just we had nothing that supported that path forward. Now we're starting to seeing some of that stuff being justified, such as the walkie-talkie being in the person's hand. Why were they walking up to the door? Their backpack was full. Maybe they were going in. Maybe they were called to come up there. Remember, they had the walkie-talkie. Somebody could have already been in the house. They may have walkie-talkied them and said, hey, I need that tarp. We have a guy that has a backpack with something in it. Maybe they were going to put her in whatever was in his backpack to roll her up to get her out of the house. We don't know. We don't know when this was. What we do know is that they were around that house for entirely too long. 41 minutes is not a typical anything. It's not a typical robbery. It's not a typical abduction. It's not a typical ransom. 41 minutes implies something a lot worse, in my opinion. I think all of this supports a hit. I think all this supports somebody being hired to take and execute this woman. Now, the other theory is that this was a group of people that identified her and targeted her and went into the house and something went terribly wrong. But again, if something went terribly wrong, why did they take her out of the house? Why didn't they just leave her right where she stood? It just doesn't make sense. So anyways, that's our story. We're sticking to it, guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. It has been, well, almost 3 hours now. We're going to sign off. I'm going to go and do some more research, see if we have some other talking points for later today with the Nancy Guthrie case. I did want to provide you guys an update. As many of you know, we had an American citizen over in Barcelona, Spain. He disappeared. Somebody stole his phone. That person was detained. There was a wallet floating in the water, and they ultimately found a body in the water. We do not know whether foul play is observed or if this is going to be another situation where this man fell into the water and lost his life by drowning. those things will be coming forthcoming. I'm pretty sure we're going to have some insight or answers later today, if not early tomorrow morning. We will not be in the dark about this. It sounds like they're pumping the information out, so we'll know if there's any foul play attributed or associated with Scott's case. Well, I don't know if that's to be cute. I believe his name's Scott. Either way, we do have that. We also have some information on the mother that the suitcase mom, she murdered her 2 children, her 2 girls, her older girls, leaving her son. Her son is now in the foster care system. The mother is behind bars, and we still don't know what the purpose of this is. The mother did mumble some things under her breath as she was being arrested, and she's already made several appearances before court. So we will be providing you guys an update on the children in the suitcases as well. And then, of course, we're still covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. And the reason why we're dovetailing Sebastian Rogers is because I feel like Pima County is 2.0. It really does encompass our frustration with the Sebastian Rogers case. And I think it's just being embellished and emphasized on the Pima County case and Nancy Guthrie. And it's still the same issues. It's still the same problems that we're facing between both cases. And one is still, they have the FBI involved, and the other one does not have the FBI involved. And the differences in the type of, search that's being done and conducted is really different from county to FBI. We want these cases to start going to the FBI. We want an avenue where the FBI starts picking up these missing children cases. These are crimes that these counties cannot solve. And when you have corrupted counties like we have in Sumner County, where they're friends with the murderer suspects and the suspects that like to beat on children, it really does infuriate us, and we need a path forward. The public has a right to have a path forward to get their cases solved, and this stalemate is enough. We have had it as an American citizens, as we keep watching these cases after cases and sheriffs screw up these cases over and over and over again. We have to have a path forward, and Pebbles, as well as my mods, as well as I, are still praying for the E family. We need to be raising money for them. Their son is not doing well. Our hearts are in this. I don't know what to say to that family. I just keep praying for them. I keep just trying to uplift them, trying to have some positivity out there in this world for anybody that's struggling. But moreover, these people are nice. They've gone through so many challenges with all of their children, and now they're faced with losing one. I can't imagine how difficult that must be to such a wonderful, gracious family like the E's. So we just want to make sure that we just wrap them with as much of our goodness that we can wrap them with. And if you do have the ability to help, even if it's $1, please consider helping the E family. I'd rather you guys help the E family than me, because I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here next week. I'll be here in a year from now. And sometimes we need to help when we can help. And I'm willing to put myself on the back burner for somebody else. So at the end of the day, if you guys have it, please give it to them, not to me. I love you. God bless you. We appreciate you. We're already on day 3. It doesn't look like we're making any more headway on us getting out to Arizona. So, if this was something that the whole chat really agreed with, we should have at least $1,200 up at this point. We're not anywhere closer to that. So, I appreciate you, Miss Robin, to try to get us out there front row. We're going to have to take that funds and just let them sit there and just collect dust until our next project. Somebody said throw it over into the legal fund. I don't want to. I want to keep it into our travel fund. So I'm going to leave it there for the next case because it was for travel purposes. And I think that is, it needs to be for, if we're not going to use it for travel, it needs to be for our next project, not taken for the legal fund. So we're just going to sit that $250 aside for the next project. That's the way I justify it in my brain. Yes, I'd love to put it in my legal fund, but in all fairness, it was raised for travels. So I feel like that was the spirit of the funds. So that's where we're going to keep those funds, is for travel. So the next trip we don't have to raise $260. $260 are already raised for the travel. So that's positive. So that's the way I think that we should play that out. Anyways, guys, I just want to thank you for all being here. This is such a crazy case. I do think that a good theory is really starting to take hold and starting to develop, and it really does encompass all of the stuff we were seeing, from the damaged utility box to potentially hearing of the renters behind. Like, all of this stuff is starting to, I feel like finally starting to come into focus, where we can start really identifying a theory, a good, solid theory of what happened to Miss Nancy Guthrie. So if you guys have a perspective, guys, I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you want your theories or your speculations to be confidential, I don't tell people your names. So feel free to be expressive to me. Feel free to, if you have a theory, there's no dumb answers. We don't know what happened. Throw it out there. I'm definitely reading this stuff. Even if I can't, if I can only give you a heart or an emoji or a thumbs up, that's really all I can do. But at least I've read your email. And that really is what you guys would like to know, is that I've received your email and I've physically read your email. Even though we may not talk about it, or it may not come up in conversation just right now, it may be down the road. We may have already discussed it previously. For those reasons, but just please keep sending that stuff to me. bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. You guys are very, very important. I'm an average person, so I think averagely. You guys, we got some really good people in this chat that think outside of the box. So it really is you guys that drive our show from one show to the next of what we talk about, because it's really about the things that you send me by email. This shows me your interest in an avenue to discuss. And then you find out that in a day or two, how ironic that email you sent me, we have a show on that very topic. And that's how we do it. So if you guys would like to send me some information about what you find, please do. bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I want to appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Please, guys, if I can just give you any tidbit of information, you guys know my history about everything. I'm just going to say, don't let that create a monster in you. What's going on out there, the drama that's going on out there, needs to be handled in the court system. There's a reason why so many people are passing this around to make other people look bad. And while I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to say, be skeptical, because there's a reason why they're working this hard to make this information be known on this particular platform. And I have to look and play the tape through. And why do we have a lot of writing without any photos? It seems to me like there should be some photos for something like this. So I'm just gonna put some stuff out there. I don't know what happened. I don't care. It's not my monkey, not my circus, and I hope that you guys just let the court systems handle it. I don't know who to believe, so I'm not believing anything. I'm just sticking my nose out of it. We are a true crime channel. If you guys are here for true crime, keep it about true crime, not somebody else's drama or baggage. God bless.